for the championship. That trophy will be theirs in a matter of weeks, almost certainly. Again, they come out on top in a match that they were under significant pressure in. Honours even with a point apiece, but it's the result that Chelsea are so much more satisfied with. Full time at the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal 0, Chelsea 0. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT.
Don't miss a second of the drama from the world's most exciting league. This is Barclays Premier League Live. The Barclays Premier League Live, broadcasting the most exciting league in the world, around the world.
And a very warm welcome along to our coverage of Leicester City against Newcastle United from the King Power Stadium. I'm your host, Sir Richard Connolly. Alongside me, the former Chelsea, QPR, Fulham and Sunderland winger Clive Walker. And you are listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. The fans with their inflatable clapping sticks are making a real racket inside Leicester City Stadium. These games today really matter so much, particularly for the teams right at the bottom. These could be decisive days. Leicester today with Schmeichel in goal, a back three of Vasilevsky, Huth and the captain Morgan. Then Albrighton will be right wing back and Schlupp will play down the left. Cambiasso, James and Mahrez slightly further forward with Ulloa and Jamie Vardy the front two. Newcastle have Krul in goal, Jan Mart, who's been perhaps their most consistent performer this season, Williamson and the captain Colaccini at centre-half with Dummett restored at left-back today. Then four midfielders in Gutierrez, Colback, Ryan Taylor and Moussa Sissoko, and Riviere and Ayoze Perez, those who will go in search of goals. Riviere has not scored in the Premier League since signing from Monaco. Perez, the young man, has scored on 6 occasions. The referee just shaking hands with the captains inside the centre circle. That's Mike Dean, a man used to big occasions, took charge of Chelsea Man United a couple of weeks ago, and the North East derby, which Newcastle lost to Sunderland. He has sent off a couple of Newcastle players this season. Mike Dean, you've had the starting lineups for Leicester Newcastle, and you are listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Cameras focusing in on Jamie Vardy. He could certainly be somebody who makes the difference for Leicester today. A tigerish forward player not so long ago playing in non-league football. Huge day for both teams at the King Power Stadium. Tim Krul, the Newcastle goalkeeper, in an orange top, long sleeve top, suitable for him as a Dutch international. The two managers exchange what appears to be a friendly handshake, and we are set to go. Huge day in the battle against relegation from the Barclays Premier League, and it starts right here with Leicester against Newcastle. Mike Dean waits, gets the all clear, blows the whistle. It is time to get stuck in for Leicester and Newcastle and do what is necessary to stay in this league. Leicester instantly on the front foot, playing in the royal blue, and it's Schlupp down the left-hand side with a low cross, instantly winning a corner after 14 seconds, Clive Walker.
What a start for Leicester. I mean, Nigel Pearson must have set his team up to do exactly what they've done. You know, Newcastle just haven't had a chance to breathe, and the fans are right behind City, really coming forward. It was a good break as well.
In comes the Leicester corner towards the near post. The head is in! Leicester have scored! Leonardo Ulloa on 37 seconds! That's the message to the rest of the Premier League from Leicester. What a start! Ulloa heads them in front. Newcastle already behind and confused. 1-0 to Leicester.
That's unbelievable. What a start. Nigel Pearson sits in his chair. Knows there's a long way to go, but a super header coming in at the near post. Lovely ball in that Newcastle don't deliver. They don't get anybody into the right position at the near post to deal with it. Ulloa gets the drop on, I think it's Sissoko, gets in front of him. A lovely little flicked header. Good pace on the ball coming in, and it's fired into the back of the net. Well, Newcastle have got it all to do. I don't think anybody's had a touch yet. Well, that creates an atmosphere. You know, they've got to get back on track, Leicester, after midweek against Chelsea. And the only way they can do it is get in your face, start on the front foot. So what do you do? On the ball by a loose pass. You know, the mentality we say about the Newcastle players is unbelievably poor.
Newcastle are in the black and white. We've not had time to tell you that yet, but you might have guessed. And it's Leicester very much on the front foot, going long here towards Jamie Vardy, who had a high boot there against Williamson. The referee has played an advantage. It might have been a Newcastle free kick, and instantly John Carver has a furrowed brow and a finger to the chin and the head that's shaking from side to side. For all the positivity that Leicester have displayed, well, what kind of message have Newcastle given to their supporters with that goal by Ulloa of Leicester in the opening 40 seconds? I thought maybe 37. We'll get the official timing on that shortly, I'm sure. But Leonardo Ulloa, who didn't score a Premier League goal between Boxing Day and the 18th of April, has come back to life for Leicester at just the right moment. Perhaps in the image of the team as a whole. He started well, they started well, faded, but are now resurgent. And they're lifting this one forward towards Vardy. He's got the wrong side of Colaccini and then can't find his balance to get a strike on goal from a tight angle Newcastle goal kick.
Well, I think from John Carver, just looking at him there, totally dejected. And you can understand, many people say, well, it's the manager's fault. Many would say the players. And we said it beforehand, in my opinion, it's the players. John Carver would have set his team up to do well today. He would have worked on things in training, whether it be shape or individuals. He would have talked to them about the way Leicester would look to play. He would have told them exactly what to expect, and yet they've turned out like this. That's a complete disaster for the manager. I do feel sorry for him. It's a difficult situation because the players there are just not performing for the football club, and they've got a long way to go, Newcastle, now, just in this game, to get through and get some respect back from their own fans.
Newcastle lifted a free kick forward there from halfway into the Leicester penalty box, but comfortably dealt with and away by Schlupp on the far side. Newcastle throw on the halfway line, right in front of the two technical areas over there. Nigel Pearson arms folded, John Carver arms folded as well, watching Moussa Sissoko trying to drive down that far touchline to Newcastle right, but he was tackled and the ball skids through to Schmeichel, who instantly rolls out to the near side, where Albrighton makes ground towards halfway, checks back in field, looks for the diagonal ball. Ulloa is the target. Ulloa can take it on the chest, but the reason he had so much space was that he was offside. Stuart Burt with the flag, the assistant referee on the near side, and Newcastle will get a free kick.
Certainly shouldn't have been offside there. He's just got to look across the line. It's an easy one, and again, Newcastle's back line, for me, all over the place. I'm not sure what sort of a method they're playing in the back line, whether they're pushing up and squeezing, when they're dropping off and playing deeper. At the moment, Leicester are running the rule over them. They need to get control of the back line for Newcastle and really impose themselves on the Leicester players. But at the moment, it's Leicester who are imposing themselves, and they need to turn it around very, very quickly.
Here comes Janmark for Newcastle, then off the right-hand side, threatening run from the Dutchman into Perez. It's a tight angle, and he fires it right across the face of goal. Schmeichel diving out to his right, didn't get there, but the shot was just pulled a touch across by Jose Perez after neat build-up play.
Well, that gives him a little bit of encouragement, Newcastle, doesn't it? I mean, it's good turn by Perez. Gets himself into a good position. Very, very sharp angle. Just having a look at it again from the other side, and Schmeichel's actually pulled his hand away. He knows this is going wide. I don't think he should have shot from there, to be very true. I think if he has an extra touch and then just squares it back, even blind, you've got a chance that your players will get in and support you. But saying that early stages, Perez trying to get a goal back for Newcastle, may be worth the effort, but I think he was always going wide.
Yeah, if you have just tuned in, 6 minutes have been played here. Leicester are already a goal up on Newcastle. Leonardo Ulloa with a header from a corner inside 40 seconds here. Newcastle took the centre. Leicester won the ball, won the corner, and it was beautifully delivered right onto the head of Leonardo Ulloa, who helped it on its way beyond Tim Krul. So Leicester one up since the opening minute, and here they come again. Ulloa controlling the high pass and laying it off for Mahrez. In comes the cross. Ulloa again with a near post header, this time into the midriff of Tim Krul.
That's so easy for Leicester to get into that position, to get the cross in, to get a header towards goal. It's too easy. They've got to make it better. When there's a long ball coming from the other end, somebody has got to make a challenge. Ulloa is able to bring the ball down with comfort, play it out wide, get himself into the box and get on the end of the cross. That is basic football, a basic defending that Newcastle are getting wrong at the moment.
Newcastle have themselves a free kick here. Albrighton made a couple of challenges. One when it actually slipped to his backside, and I think it was that one which Mike Dean thought was unfair, trying to stop Musa Sissoko. So here's Ryan Taylor with a diagonal ball into the Leicester box, headed out by Ulloa for Leicester. Good work at both ends of the field. And here's Jan Mark for Newcastle, back into the penalty area. Header won by Vasilevsky of Leicester. Now Riviere trying to turn, and the volley off balance was by Gutierrez for Newcastle, and a goal kick.
Well, again, at times you see Newcastle trying to get back into the game, and going forward you'd have to say they've got players quite capable of scoring goals, but the question mark for me is all about their back line, and although they've let one goal in, and it's not a good goal to give away, although they've given one away, I think they could give away more. So if they can get a goal back, I mean, it'll balance the game out a little bit better, but defensively they really need to be working harder.
Now this could be a game which gives us plenty of entertainment.
It could give us plenty of action in front of goal. Whether it gives us lots of goals will be out of quality of the deliveries and the finishes, but there's enough players in there to score goals, so I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't go on. There might be a few more goals in the game. Which way they're going to go, who knows, but at the moment you have to say Leicester certainly in the ascendancy.
Some instructions for Jeffrey Schlupp of Leicester from Nigel Pearson. Schlupp's on the Leicester left, right in front of the manager on that far side of the field. A bit of a break in play. Mike Dean wanted to sort out a bit of a problem between Ulloa and Janmaat, but they're best of friends again, and we're back underway. Here's Albrighton for Leicester, lifting a high ball forward, but too far forward, and Krul can collect it comfortably. I'd like your thoughts on the shape of the Newcastle midfield when you get a moment to analyse that. It does seem that Sissoko's got quite a forward-thinking role today.
Looks like he's playing wide right anyway, and Colback and Gutierrez a little bit more centrally. Actually, Ryan Taylor probably sitting as a holding player in front of the back four. And I think they're trying to get the likes of Sissoko higher up the park, because you feel that's probably where he's more dangerous, sort of breaking from deep and using those long legs, those striding legs to get up and support the likes of Perez. So although it's for me, again, I go back to what we said before the game, it's like it's almost all down to individuals. For me, there's no real construction about how we do it as a team. It's more like the individuals. The individuals perform, the team performs. If they don't, we lose, and I don't think that's good enough.
Newcastle possession on the left-hand side with the Perez. Tackle came in on him from Vasilevsky. Bearded, physical defender. And Leicester lift the pass down this near side. The right Vardy can't quite keep it in, though. He was just trying to control the bouncing ball, stretching his toe up towards the sky. But it had crossed the white line. Cambiasso apologises for missing the pass by 6 inches or so.
It's not bad over 50 yards, is it?
No.
And he's done ever so well for them this season, Cambiasso. He's an important purchase.
He's much more than just a protecting midfield player. He can break forward too and score the odd goal.
But I also think he's an influence in the dressing room. He's the type of guy. He's a leader, and I think you need people like that, especially when you're near the bottom or fighting against relegation. You need leaders to help pull you out.
Yes, have Newcastle got them? Here's the long ball forward by Leicester again here, and Krul comes out of the box and has to head the ball clear. Vardy was almost upon him. Newcastle haven't really got control back here as Albrighton curls one in towards Vardy first time, and there's Krul at the near post to save comfortably. He didn't get great purchase on the shot, Vardy, but it was thoughtfully played into him.
I mean, it's decent play by Leicester, but again, you just wonder what on earth Newcastle are thinking about, what they are in the nature of the game. Here we are, 11 minutes in, they're a goal down. There's been chances for Leicester 2 or 3 times already in these early stages, but they've not resolved the problem. I mean, this is just a misunderstanding between Krul and Williamson. Krul just about heads it clear when he can't handball it because he's almost outside the penalty. Vardy gets half a chance. It's happening too often in these early stages for Leicester not to score again if they can keep the momentum going.
Goal that Newcastle conceded in the first minute here was the 55th that they've let in the Barclays Premier League. Only QPR with 59 have let in more. Newcastle a goal down at the King Power Stadium. Barclays Premier League live with talkSPORT. This is Gutierrez for Newcastle, stretching his legs down the left-hand side, trying to beat Albrighton. He's got the ball to Sissoko, left edge of the box. He pulls it back to Colback. Left corner of the area, Colback, no way through. Now it's Dummett. and Gutierrez again in the left wing position. Defender slips, Gutierrez steps past him, tries to pull it back. James got his foot to the ball for Leicester, who then clear. Here's Colaccini for Newcastle. Riviere came towards the ball, but he's gone long towards the far side, and Perez has turned well, and it's a chance. It's a tight angle again, and the challenges came flying in. Schlupp was in there in particular. He wants a corner, Perez, but it will be a goal kick.
Yeah, difficult one, because Wes Morgan's come across and he's managed to get the block in. I think Perez does really well here. Schlupp gets slightly out of position. Morgan comes across, and between the two of them, they get a challenge in on Perez. Whether that deflected off his leg or not, difficult to see, but Perez has been a bit of a threat. You know, when he's been isolated or managed to isolate a defender, he seems to be getting into good positions to be able to cause problems. Now, whether they can keep finding him, whether Leicester will tighten up on him, we'll have to wait and see.
Perhaps he and Janmaat have been the big pluses of the season for Newcastle, as Leicester try and get Mahrez on the left-hand side, but that was snuffed out by Newcastle, and Krul is able to clear it up towards halfway. Morgan wins it above Perez, but the ball bounces back to Gutierrez, who will find Perez moving out towards the right-hand side, trying to take on Huth. Huth got a toe to the ball. It's behind for a Newcastle corner. This will be their first of the game.
Yeah, just seem to be getting going, don't they, Newcastle? We said it 3 or 4 minutes ago that going forward, they've got players in good position times and cause problems, and Perez being the main target man of that. But you know, they need a goal, and that is a desperate state to be in. But defensively, again, we'll have to wait and see. But we did say there might be more goals.
Williamson's at the near post, Colaccini by the penalty spot. It's whipped into that near post area. Rojoa heads clear. 2 corners, he's won both headers. Here's Ryan Taylor with the cross from the right hand side, though it hits the Leicester defender on the back. It's still not clear. Riviere has it with his back to goal, out on that far side, the Newcastle right. Rojoa makes a challenge. Riviere smuggles it into the box, but not cleanly, and Leicester might break here with Vardy. The target of the long ball forward, and Vardy is in. There's no offside flag. Has to check, and the covering defender was Gutierrez back there. He did really well. He's saying the flag should have gone up for offside, but it didn't, and Leicester were nearly in.
Well, there's another break, isn't it, from Leicester? He's actually in his own half when he makes the run, Vardy. Gutierrez has got that completely wrong, but to be fair to him, he's got back really, really well and got a foot in. He was getting the covering defender in as well, but he got the initial foot in, goes away for a throw-in, but again, Leicester on the break, looking sharp.
Yes, with Vardy they do have some pace. And Albrighton's going to take this throw-in now from the near side, the Leicester right. And Mahrez has come across to take it, the Algeria international. Oh, it's a lovely little flick pass from Mahrez to Albrighton, who was along the goal line there. That was audacious from Mahrez, and they've won a corner.
Love it, absolutely love it. What a super little trick that was. Just round the corner, takes out 2 Newcastle defenders. Good run by Albrighton, gets in behind and tries to deliver, and that's super football by Leicester.
Really good weight on it as well, wasn't there? I mean,
fabulous to see. Love seeing little tricks like that.
Yeah, wasn't just fancy, but beautifully executed. Here's Albrighton's corner, high towards the back post. Morgan nodded into the 6-yard area, Sissoko away. Mahrez wins a header on the edge of the box, but Newcastle have poured out from the penalty box now, and they're clearing towards Perez. Schlupp wins a good ball for Leicester and drives forward with it towards the edge of the box. Was he taken out on the far side? He was, says the referee. It will be a free kick, and it might be a yellow card here too for Daryl Janmaat, who tripped Schlupp in full flight.
Yeah, and to be fair to Janmaat, he didn't complain, so he must have made contact with him. Good running by Schlupp, good, powerful, strong running. We said about him in the earlier stages that, you know, his balance, his left foot, it could cause problems for Newcastle, and it certainly was powering forward. Good pace there. Gets brought down, free kick, and a yellow card for Janmaat. He's got to be careful.
8th yellow card of the season for the Dutchman. The referee has got the vanishing spray out. Williamson exhorting his colleagues to defend this somewhat better than the early corner from which Leicester scored. In it goes again, they haven't! It's another goal! Dreadful defending from Newcastle, and it's Morgan who's celebrating, the Leicester captain. Well, Newcastle can't defend set pieces, and if it carries on like this, it'll be 8 defeats running, and Leicester will be 1 step closer to safety. Their heads are all shaking at the back for Newcastle, and there are smiles are gigantic for Leicester. 2-0 after 16 minutes.
Well, we can understand why Newcastle haven't won any games in recent times. Absolutely dreadful defending. Now, what you've got to say is, I'm looking at Colaccini now. He's defending Wes Morgan. He's man for man. He's your marker. That's your problem. You've got to get goal side. You've got to stay with him. You can't allow him to drift in. He's not offside. And it's an easy finish in the end for Wes Morgan. dreadful defending by Newcastle, but you've got to ask some questions as to who's marking who and why they can't defend dead ball situations.
There's a question mark about the offside. It's so difficult for the assistant referee. You can imagine the free kick being swung in, a line of defenders, a line of attackers. A couple were beyond the defenders, but were they the ones which then became active? It's so difficult for the assistant referee.
It's a tough call, but you cannot rely on a linesman getting it right or wrong. You have to defend properly. Now, if they have to defend a little bit deeper, then so be it. You know, they've got big bodies in there. Colaccini of this world, Sissoko, they can head the ball. They're strong enough, powerful enough to win things and be brave enough to do that. But you've got to be determined to get to the ball first. And what they're doing, they were staying up and relying on a linesman. You can't do that. Sometimes there are mistakes. Sometimes genuinely they get it absolutely spot on and poor defending. But you blame somebody else, and that's their problem. You can't keep blaming other people.
It's 2-0 to Leicester. It's just past the top of the hour. That's the score. And you are listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Well, a couple of fans are holding up a banner in the Newcastle end, which wasn't complimentary to the club and the way it's heading at the moment. More of that in a second. Newcastle possession, trying to come back from this 2-0 deficit. Here's Gutierrez with a cross, deflects and away by Vasilevsky on the half volley. Over the halfway line and back to Colaccini. There's clear dissent in the ranks of the Newcastle supporters, and I suppose why wouldn't there be?
It's inevitable, Richard, isn't it?
Yeah.
You lose this many games, it's inevitable at any football club. But you know, they've got a huge following, Newcastle, 50,000 plus members, fans. You know, that season ticket holders that come on a regular basis. You know, they are going to get upset, and you have to put up with it. But as players, you have to stand up and be counted. And we said it before the second goal. You cannot keep defending the way they were. Keep giving chances for Leicester and expect to win matches. It doesn't work. You have to defend better.
Yeah, Newcastle, in terms of stadium attendance and average gate, the third biggest club in the Barclays Premier League. And here they are, right in the bottom mix here. Vardy's winning a corner there for Leicester. Williamson was the defender. Vardy a thorn in the side at the moment, and it's those clapping sticks that are being thrust together in their thousands by the Leicester fans, which is generating the extra noise you can hear around the King Power Stadium.
Just looking at Tim Krul as well, as this corner's just about to be taken. He's absolutely fuming. You know, he knows, and there's a goalkeeper's pride here, he knows he could be in big, big trouble.
Another Leicester corner. It's gone swinging in there, and the header was won by Robert Huth in the end. It went sailing over Ulloa this time. It must have been a Newcastle head, though, because they pointed for another corner.
Yeah, but they still don't get to the ball first. You know, if you're going to defend a corner or a free kick that's whizzing in your box, you've got to be determined. You've got to take control of the situation as a big defender and say, do you know what, I'm going to go and win this. And they're not doing it. None of them.
A warning from Mike Williamson from the referee, who's watching carefully as the corner is swung in towards the back post. Sissoko gets the header on it this time.
That's better. That's important. You know, that's what you need. Someone taking control of the situation. Sissoko's a big guy. You know, he can go and win things. You know, Colaccini, centre back. You know, you expect your guys to win headers, but that's better by Sissoko. You know, that's someone stepping up to the mark.
The delivery on that corner was a little bit more loopy towards the back post.
Yeah, it gave him a chance, didn't it?
Yeah. There's the throw from Leicester down the near side to Ulloa, taking the ball on the chest, but a man in front of him and a man behind him, and they've come away with the ball. Here's Gutierrez with his white boots poking it forward. Intelligent layoff by Perez, nearly got it into the path of the flying player on the near side. But
he's a big lad, though, isn't he, Wes Morgan? When he comes across to challenge you, you've got to make sure you're 60-40 in favour. Otherwise, he's going to take you out the ball as well. But yeah, he's easy going to win that one.
They say he's not the quickest, and that you can get at him.
Yeah.
If you can,
I think they isolate him one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a chance. You know, get Perez on him. You know, he might struggle a little bit, but if you keep throwing things up to him and asking him to defend as a big, strong, tough centre back, he'll do it for you.
Yes, and Leicester don't have to push forward so much now, do they? They've got the 2-0 advantage. They can draw Newcastle onto them and use the speed they have.
Well, exactly. They can use Vardy now. They can use Ulloa to win the headers. You know, they can sit back in midfield. You know, I think the back four have got to keep working. Or, sorry, back three for Leicester. Yeah, they've got to keep squeezing the play and keeping it tight in midfield. You've got to expect your midfield and players, you know, the likes of Albright to get forward down the right-hand side. Vardy's going to use his pace when he can. Ochoa's going to hold the ball up. You know, for me, Leicester have done the start of a job on today's game. It's basic football now, basic mentality. Keep the structure the same. Use what assets you have. For Newcastle, it's a totally different ball game. They've got to get themselves together. Not give any more goals away, but also try and get players like Perez, who looks a little bit dangerous, gets Sissoko on the ball.
Here's Riviere! Oh, he's at the post. He's at the outside of the post, Riviere. It was a long ball down the left-hand side, and he collected it well on the turn from the knockdown, Riviere. A first-time strike against the outside of the post and behind, but Schmeichel was worried about that one.
Yeah, it's a decent chance, great effort, got full into this football, really get his boot behind it, drags it past the near post. But again, it's Sissoko causing problems up the other end of the field now. So putting pressure on the Leicester back line. The ball drops to Riviere, does really well, but not quite on target.
No, his 20th Barclays Premier League appearance, Emmanuel Riviere, and he's still looking for a first top-flight goal. He did get a couple in the League Cup earlier in the season. Here come Newcastle trying to counter through Gutierrez and Sissoko, but Leicester got bodies in the way, and they're playing it down the side to Vardy here. Vardy tries to cross, and it is blocked by Colaccini coming across. Leicester ball once again, midway point of the first half. It's 2-0 to Leicester if you are just tuning in. Ulloa inside the first minute with a header from a corner, and then Wes Morgan stretching out a foot to meet a set piece that was curled in behind the Newcastle defence. Two set pieces, neither of which they defended well. Here's Albrighton down the right, wants a free kick as he dribbled his way past Gutierrez, but the assistant referee gave nothing, and play continues. Ryan Taylor with the ball in centre midfield. He plays it over the head of Sissoko and straight into touch.
I think it's a difficult one for Ryan Taylor at the moment. He's trying to protect his back line, but when you give goals away like like Newcastle have done, you know, it's difficult to protect the team in general play.
Leicester trying to attack down the right again, Ulloa and Albrighton. Albrighton being urged on by the crowd. It's going to be a Newcastle throw in. Yeah, I just wonder what Ryan Taylor's role is in there today. Newcastle are being exposed at the moment. Ulloa's fighting for the ball, trying to find Mahrez there and run on the edge of the penalty box. Colback's come back to help out the back four for Newcastle and allows Krul to make the clearance. Morgan wins a header for Leicester on the halfway line, and it'll drift out for a Newcastle throw in the right back position over on the far side. 2-0 to Leicester.
Yeah, it's a good 2-0 as well. They thoroughly deserve it at the moment. Leicester started on the front foot, got the early goal of course, and that's always an advantage, and they've been reasonably solid at the back as well, but there's still going to be times when Newcastle are going to get in those positions, but again you'd have to say, how many more can Leicester get?
Vardy is still working ever so hard to try and close down Newcastle defenders, close down the goalkeeper. Krul's clearance out towards Perez. Perez appealing for a handball, looking rather disconsolate on this near side as play continues with Newcastle in possession. Gutierrez playing in central midfield, threads a pass to the left for Perez, running with the ball attached to his right foot here, running at Vasilevsky, who got his foot to it. The cross comes in from Perez. Huth heads away. Perez flicks it back towards the edge of the D, but helping out there was Mahrez. He does well to stay on his feet as the challenge came in from Dummett, and then he's dribbling away from another player before Colaccini steps across and takes the ball cleanly, and Newcastle try to feed it forward towards Sissoko. Vasilevsky with a well-timed sliding tackle from the big pole, and Newcastle throw in.
And Mahrez did really well there, didn't he? Great fleet of foot, shall we say. Good ball work down the right-hand side, and just really needed to release it a little bit early. Tries to take on one too many Newcastle defenders, and they lose the ball, and then the pressure's on. I think if Mahrez gets it forward towards the likes of Vardy or Ochoa, they've been able to squeeze up. They're just sitting a little bit deep at the moment, Leicester.
Yes, everybody pretty much condensed into the Leicester half as Colback threads a low ball forward towards Perez. Little slip from Perez. It rebounds to Ryan Taylor for Newcastle. Here's the Newcastle number 36, Paul Dummett, though. Up it goes to Riviere, and he's just overplayed the pass to Sissoko. It was actually quite nicely worked, wasn't it?
It was the right idea, just the wrong execution, you know, and those small things make a huge, huge difference.
Just looking at a replay now where the grid's been drawn on the offside line for the second Leicester goal, and there's a cluster of about 6 players, and I still can't quite work out who's offside and who's not. Cambiasso is the furthest forward. He's offside, but isn't actually interfering in the final analysis.
And again, we talked about Colaccini being the guy who should be marking Wes Morgan.
He lets him go, doesn't he?
He just lets him run.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what's going on behind you. You have to get back into position and make sure you get some sort of contact, because that's so easy for Leicester to score.
Ulloa very nearly got his head to it, and that might have been a goal, but he missed it, and Morgan right behind him poked it in. Now, challenge has come flying in by Gutierrez near halfway, for which he's been cautioned by referee Mike Dean, second Newcastle booking of the afternoon, and he slaps the hand of Cambiasso, whom he just made contact with. Yeah,
I'm not sure that's a yellow card. It's just about a foul for me, no more than that. Gutierrez, for me, gone genuinely for the ball. He's side on. He's not gone full frontal on Cambiasso. Cambiasso's just gone to it first and helped it on. There's been a collision. Just a free kick for me, but anyway, yellow card as well.
Similar position from which they scored the second goal. This time they drive it in. Ulloa flicks it on, and a chance for Robert Huth to volley goalwards there, and he missed the ball completely.
well, he did, but I tell you what, if he gets that one time when he gets it right, Robert Huth, if he does get it right, it's a goal. And again, it's poor defending by Newcastle, because Leicester win the first ball.
Newcastle countering. Sissoko laying it back to Ryan Taylor. Back it comes to this near side where Newcastle have got two players. Dummett looks up, goes for the low cross. James half blocks it, and Vasilevsky clears for Leicester. And then the poor header by Ryan Taylor near halfway allowed Ulloa to get the ball. James with a foul. Referee saying play on to Newcastle. Dummett's low ball in, and Newcastle will get a corner. Yeah, James was late on Gutierrez, wasn't he?
That's exactly. Yeah, he's got the yellow card. At least the referee's been consistent, because I think that was exactly the same as the challenge a few moments ago by Gutierrez. So certainly was a yellow card. But the referee allows the advantage because Newcastle are in possession of the ball, and they've now got themselves a corner. So the yellow card for James anyway. Yeah,
James, the ex-Manchester United trainee. Here's the Newcastle corner, which is curled high to the back post, where Dummett was trying to get above Wes Morgan. Dummett's header, I think, clipped Morgan and went behind for another Newcastle corner, this time the far side, the right.
Yeah, I think this is the right decision. There was a long looping ball in. Wes Morgan gets just underneath it, but I think it last came off of him and goes for a corner. So Newcastle, a little bit of pressure coming into the game a little bit more. We are coming up to the 30-minute mark. Going to be tough for them, but if they can get a goal back before half-time and John Carver weaves some magic, maybe they can get back into the game in the second half.
Ryan Taylor takes away swinger in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, but actually it swung out of play before it swung back in. So it's a goal kick to Leicester, and the chance evaporates for Newcastle United, who are still 2 goals down here on the half-hour mark.
Yeah, it's just what Newcastle didn't need from that corner. Really put it in the mix. When you've got the pressure on, you've got to keep it going, keep the tempo there. Just a poor corner by Ryan Taylor, and Leicester get the chance to push the ball long and push up from the back.
Newcastle trying to build on that right-hand side. Riviere trying to work that touchline. He's won the throw-in, some 6 or 7 yards from the corner flag. If Leicester do win this today, they'll go to 34 points, and they'll be just a single point behind Newcastle. Leicester, the side that was bottom for 140 days, 20 weeks. Here's a long throw from Newcastle, though. In it comes towards Williamson. Morgan with a header away. Cambiasso trying to protect the ball on the edge of the box. Sissoko beats him, but James is there to clear for Leicester. Big hoof. They're looking for Vardy with that long ball. The header down by the Newcastle defender has fallen instead for Albrighton for Leicester. Albrighton taking on Gutierrez, who's back. Albrighton swings the cross in. Newcastle back in numbers, though. Rather an unwise pass by Colback. Gave it to Ulloa, who dives to the floor spectacularly, and Colback comes away with it for Newcastle. Now Leicester still have numbers back here. Here's Perez for Newcastle down the left. Riviere's in the centre. It's a terrific tackle from Vasilevsky. Took ball, the man fell over the top. The big pole will have loved that.
Good to watch, wasn't it? As a well-timed challenge. He gets it wrong, it's a yellow card, but he's got it spot on by taking the ball cleanly.
It was uncomplicated, and his, nothing more than his physique, the general look of him, gives you the idea that he's that kind of defender. I think you put that
really nicely, uncomplicated. I would have said agricultural. But he's got it well, he's timed it well, so if you time it well, then it's a fair challenge.
They picked him up when he was a free agent, Vasilevsky, after he left Anderlecht 18 months or so ago. He's had a good game so far. Leicester are leading 2-0. Here's Gutierrez. Nice pass from Gutierrez out to the left for Perez. Checks onto his right boot, but Albrighton worked to stop the cross. Here's Dummett for Newcastle. looking for options. Gutierrez whacks a pass at Perez, just dreadful really, and out for a Leicester goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, it's a poor ball in by Gutierrez. The only thing you'd have to say at this particular stage, Leicester 2-0 to the good. I know people have complained recently about Chelsea and the way they play, but it's about winning games. You know, it's about, at this stage of the season, picking up as many points as you possibly can. And I think at the moment, Leicester are just struggling with that scenario. You know, they're just feeling that, the same as we're thinking, if Newcastle get a goal, they're going to be under pressure before half-time. So they just need to restructure themselves and just not necessarily go for the third, but just sit in and defend in numbers and just keep Newcastle at bay until the break.
They're going to get chances on the counter-attack, Leicester City, I fancy. Here's Riviere, though, for Newcastle. Oh, he's got it back beautifully from Perez. On Riviere, slips and falls over at the crucial moment. He was almost completely through, Riviere, in the left side of the penalty box, but he didn't even get a shot away. Oh dear.
Unbelievable. What a great chance. I mean, initially, good run. But that's what I was just talking about with Leicester. It was too easy. Little 1-2 and he's in. And it wasn't like a real big burst of pace. He just drifted in there, found the bit of space, Riviere. Has a good first touch and then lost his balance. You know, and little things like that, when they go against, it's one of those things. But again, it just would give Newcastle that little bit of hope that if they can get one back, they might just get two.
Yeah, Riviere, I feel for him, some of his build-up play's been quite good. 32 minutes on the watch anyway, 33 now. Leicester leading by 2-0. And you're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Now throw it over on the far side. Riviere, well, we've mentioned already his goal drought in Premier League terms. What a great chance that was for him. So much of the approach play for Newcastle in the build-up to that slip by Riviere was very good, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I think they've, as Leicester losing their way, it's a bit unfortunate at 2-0 up. But I think for Newcastle, they're getting a little bit of belief and they're playing a little bit better. The passing's getting a little bit crisper. Still can't defend, but going forward, they're looking a much better side. And the argument is that they're looking like they can get back into the game. And I think Leicester are giving them that chance at the moment. They've got to be a little bit tighter to try and hold on to this 2-0 lead.
The goals from Ulloa in the first minute and Morgan in the 17th, both from set plays. Here's Sissoko for Newcastle with 11 minutes to half-time. Now Gutierrez, this is 15-20 yards outside the box. Now it's played forward to Perez, right of centre. Janmaat on the overlap. Cambiasso times the challenge. And then Gutierrez takes a hack at it. He has won a corner. He must have just nicked the defender who was right in front of him.
I think he's lucky. I think this one was going high, wide and handsome anyway. I don't think John Carver is too pleased with this the early stages of the game, but you have to give the Newcastle players a little bit of credit. They've looked a little bit better in the last 10 minutes or so.
Well, Newcastle fans are in large numbers holding up red cards, which we'll explain in a second, although you can imagine. Here's the corner from Newcastle. Vasilevsky's there to head it away again for Newcastle.
That's what we're talking, sorry.
Leicester are trying to push on the counter here with Mahrez, and Colback has just got back, Clive, to stop him when he's won the free kick.
He's done well there. But that's what we talked about, this difference between the two sides defensively. We talked about Newcastle defending from dead ball situations. Vasilevsky wins the header. You know, attack over virtually, which Newcastle haven't done when they've had to defend, and that's the difference at the moment. Leicester are more willing to put their heads in where it hurts and win the challenges.
It's Sissoko on the drive for Newcastle though, and Riviere looking to his right, and then arriving for the shot was Ryan Taylor, and he hit it well, and it's a good save by Schmeichel. Must have been moving in the air a little bit, was hit with some power, and now Taylor has won a free kick out on the right hand side as he went in search of the second ball.
Yeah, decent strike, you'd have to say, by Ryan Taylor. Really gets hold of this, and good distance out as well, probably about 26, 27 yards from goal. He's actually seen it again from behind the goal. He's actually got clear sight of this, and that's when you talk about defending. Moved a lot in the air, so it's good save, good save by Schmeichel.
So Taylor has won the free kick, and he's going to take it himself, level with the penalty spot out on the right hand side. Williamson and Sissoko are in the centre. It's towards Williamson. He got a glancing header, but not quite enough.
It's a free header.
Gone behind.
It's a free header, Richard. He's got to make good contact. This is when we talk about attacking and defences. Everything happens inside that 6-yard box. I mean, it's a great leap at the far post, but you'd have to say, when you get into that position, when you get the chance, you've got to make better contact than he did there.
Robert Huth was marking him, and Huth didn't really get off the ground. John Carver from the replay seemed to turn around and shout head or some such.
I think he was trying to do it himself.
Yeah, you must want to, mustn't you, when you're standing there?
Well, he's a Geordie through and through, isn't he?
Well, that was the point about the 2 fans he invited into the club during the week, I think. Even though they've been in his ear at St James's Park, giving him dog's abuse from behind the dugouts.
I think as well, we've seen from the cards that the Newcastle fans are holding up.
No ambition, no investment, no hope they have on them.
But their anger is targeted at the owner. It's not targeted at the players or the manager at the moment.
But does it impact the players? That's the question.
It certainly does. Of course it does. But they have got this belief that someone's going to come in with a big pot of money and buy the club, but hasn't happened so far.
It's Colaccini for Newcastle. 7.5 minutes to half-time. Jan Mart now out on the far side. Leicester are back defending again. All bar Ulloa and Vardy in their own half. Ulloa saying to Vardy, actually, no, you go back and close them down. Work back a bit more. Don't just stand on halfway. Here's Gutierrez for Newcastle. Drives it. I think it hit Perez, who was running in front of him, a diagonal run, and it's rebounded behind for a Leicester goal kick. And the two shake their heads, look at the floor, and move back towards halfway. Yeah,
one of those things happens. Your players are trying to make runs. I'm actually not sure why Riviere was making that run, to be honest. He didn't need to. What he did by going into that position was close the gap with Leicester defenders. If he'd have stayed where he was, there was a gap for Gutierrez to take the shot on, but it hit the Newcastle player and goes out for a goal kick. It seems like whatever happens for Newcastle at the moment, everything seems to be going wrong.
John Carver's countenance is getting a little bit more aggressive as he barks out one or two instructions or throws a few brickbats in the way of his players. Here's Mahrez for Leicester over on the left-hand side. Riviere's defending. Mahrez tries to get the cross in. It's come off the foot of Riviere and out, I think, for a Leicester corner.
Yeah, and I think, again, you probably almost feel the hearts and the heads drop of the Newcastle players when any dead ball situation in these areas are given for Leicester, because they know that they've got some power coming forward and they've got to defend properly. There's been some good deliveries as well, I'd have to say.
Yes, you certainly would. None better than the very first minute. In it comes again. High ball, back post. Ulloa's tried the jump. Morgan nodded it back in. Away by Newcastle. In comes James. James again drives it across, and Cambiasso flying in, wasn't too far away. Well, Leicester in search of a third goal here.
And again, I think John Carver's going to have so much to say. I don't think he'll write it all down on a piece of paper, because he won't have enough paper or pencil to write it. So many mistakes. I mean, initially the corner, it's a looping one. It's hanging in the air. Wes Morgan wins it. But to be fair, Newcastle should be getting something on that. But then the second ball bounces down outside the box. Newcastle don't get to that either. There's lots of things happening at the back that are going wrong.
5 minutes to half-time. 2-0 Leicester still. Ulloa and Morgan with those goals. And you are listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Newcastle ball in their own half with Colaccini. I'm not all that enamoured with some of the Newcastle players' body language, you've got to say. And here they come again on the right. Jan Mart in possession for Newcastle. Can they get an important goal back, you feel, before half-time? Now Gutierrez. Ulloa is hacking away at him. Gutierrez stays on his feet outside the penalty box. Now finds Sissoko trying to turn and drive into the box, but Schlupp was there, got his body in a good place, and then cut the ball out for a throw-in on the far side.
We'd have to say it'd be massive if Newcastle got a goal. What a change it would make to the dressing room at half-time, because at the moment the dressing room is a place that the players probably don't want to go. So they need to do something in the next 5 minutes to change the scoreline, so that John Carver can put some more constructive criticism in, because at the moment you just feel that everything is going to be a very angry, vocal situation that they don't want to be in, the players, and they need to be picked up, and the goal will do that for them.
Long throw from Ryan Taylor, and Morgan tried to win the header. It's come back out to Gutierrez, and that shot was deflected. Wrong-footed Schmeichel, it's gone wide. I wonder if again it came off a Newcastle player.
Well, I'm just looking at Schmeichel's reaction. I think that's poor. I mean, he's got a lot of players in his way. Yeah, he's deflected as well. I don't think the referee's seen it though. But I think the goalkeeper hasn't seen this, and that could have crept in the bottom corner.
3.5 minutes to half-time, and the positivity of the Leicester supporters contrasting very sharply with the much more dissatisfied mood of the Newcastle contingent, both with team and boardroom, I think it's fair to say. Newcastle have had 59% of the ball, the stats say, but Leicester have got the goals, and here they come again with Mahrez down the left. Vardy at the near post. Arriving late is Albrighton, and the cross is deflected towards him, but Gutierrez was back helping out Newcastle, and he at least has provided plenty of energy for Newcastle, Gutierrez.
He's done very well there, in a defensive position. Again, struggling with the balls coming in, good run wide, but they should be marking that. It's poor defending, but Gutierrez has done really well to get back into position. Albrighton had a chance to maybe volley home, so they've got to do a lot more of that. It's not down to the one individual player, they've got to do it as a team.
Mahrez is cross for Leicester from the left. It missed Vardy. It's come through to Adjoa. Helps it back in. Here's Vardy. He's let it go. James was there, and he's handled the ball in the eyes of referee Mike Dean. And
I'll tell you what, if James has done this intentionally, he could have got a second yellow.
Well, you're right.
He took a chance there because he's given the free kick for the handball.
Yeah.
No, in my experience, if you do that at the other end of the pitch,
Still to come on Barclays Premier League Live. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace from Stamford Bridge.
Chelsea have played in Hazard. Hazard to put Chelsea in front. A delightful finish from Eden Hazard. And what a huge goal that is for Chelsea.
We want to finish as soon as possible. If we can do it at home, better. We have 2 matches at home. If you can do on Sunday, even better. That's what we have in our mind.
And now it's with Murray. Murray had the strength to win the challenge. Pantilimon comes a long way, and it could be 4. It is 4, and Balassi has got his hat-trick.
For us, it's an important game. We've played very well against the top side since I've been here, and we want to continue that. So really and truly, we can only focus on our performance. But as a professional manager, looking at the points total they need, they're all going to win the league.
Followed by Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester City from White Hart Lane.
Here comes Spurs looking to get back on terms, and they have for the second time in the game. Spurs have got themselves level.
I think that is important in the next 4 games to try to take the more point possible. I think that this is always is better if you finalize on the table 5th than 7th. I think maybe it's our real target now.
Oh, that's a real blunder from Bragus, and he passed it straight to Aguero. It's a gift from Manchester City. Sergio Aguero opened the scoring inside 3 minutes.
No, we are thinking just to win the next game against Tottenham. In this moment we are 2 points in front of United. We don't depend just on what we can do. If we can reach the second place, or we are just thinking try to win the next game.
And then tomorrow, Hull City versus Arsenal from the KC Stadium.
El Mohammadi crosses, it's won by Dawson, and Hull City have taken the lead at the KC Stadium.
A lot of people a week ago were writing us off, but so we give ourselves a chance. That's all we've done, because we've still got 4 games to play, and I still think we need a couple of results, because other teams last week, teams at the bottom, got a result. It's all still to play for, and exciting, I suppose, if you're watching it from afar.
He's got 2 players with him, Giroud, but he goes for goal and scores himself, and Arsenal are going second in the Barclays Premier League. Olivier Giroud rounds it off. A wonderful day for Arsenal.
They had 2 great performances. They were quite in a very bad situation, and they had 2 amazing results, especially at home. They've just beaten Liverpool, and therefore we are warned that we will face a big challenge there.
That's all still to come on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. The Barclays Premier League Live.
Oh, would you believe it?
Don't miss a single second of the most exciting competition in world football.
They've done it! They've turned it around!
Bringing you all the goals, the drama, the controversy, the exhilaration, the highs and the lows.
Oh, it's a magnificent goal!
This is Barclays Premier League Live.
Welcome to our coverage of Chelsea against Crystal Palace from Stamford Bridge. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Charlton Aston Villa and Crystal Palace midfielder Paul Mortimer. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Well, wherever you're listening to us, welcome along. After 34 matches, 24 wins, 8 draws and just 2 defeats, Chelsea are on the brink of ending their 5-year wait for a Premier League title. 3 more points today would render them uncatchable at the summit of the table and see them crowned champions of England for the 5th time in their history and 4th in the Premier League era. For Jose Mourinho, it would be a 3rd triumph, equalling the tally of his great rival Arsene Wenger, and his 8th in 4 countries over 13 seasons. And just as they did when lifting this trophy for the first time under the special one almost exactly 10 years ago, Chelsea could do it with 3 games to spare. Mourinho's team have been branded as boring in some quarters in recent weeks, but really that's a misnomer. Players like Eden Hazard, Thibaut Courtois, Diego Costa, Nemanja Matic and the evergreen John Terry have all been magnificent in their respective roles, and while Chelsea haven't always dazzled, they've been pound for pound by some distance the best team in the division all season. More Floyd Mayweather than Manny Pacquiao perhaps, but it's titles that count, and they will be worthy winners, having kept the rest at bay for the entire campaign. Mid-table Palace, who've only ever twice won at Stamford Bridge and have lost their last 2 Premier League games, have little but pride to play for. And although Alan Pardew's promising plenty of that, it's hard to imagine them spoiling the party at an expectant Stamford Bridge, where they are preparing to uncork the champagne once again. Can Palace delay the party for Chelsea? We will have to wait and see, but I don't think there are too many inside this ground who are expecting to come out of it disappointed come the end of the game. Let me give you the team news from the 2 respected teams. There's still no Loic Remy from the start for Chelsea, but he is back on the bench for the champions-elect. It means that Didier Drogba, who is so synonymous, of course, with past Chelsea glories, continues up front. Thibaut Courtois returns in goal for Petr Cech in the only change to the side which beat Leicester City in midweek. After 2 defeats on the spin, Palace ring the changes. Joel Ward returns from injury at full-back, while Adrian Mariappa is a more surprising inclusion in the back 4. Skipper Mili Jedinak and striker Glenn Murray are both relegated to the bench, so Joe Ledley and Jordan Much come into a 5-man midfield with Yannick Bolasie, the lone frontman. Well, Paul Mortimer is alongside me. I would imagine you are expecting Chelsea at the end of the day to be confirmed as champions.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, John. Yes, you would do, but you see this Crystal Palace side, you really never know what's going to come from them. You know, Alan Pardew will send them out. They've been absolutely fantastic recently, and say to them, get after them. You've got nothing to lose completely. Can we be party poopers? Can we kill off the celebrations? Can we make it difficult for Chelsea? You expect Chelsea to be a regulation Chelsea performance, you know, because they really do want to clinch it at home. But it's going to be a very interesting game. As we see, there's a change, isn't there?
Yeah, Cuadrado has been included. The initial lineup said that Ramirez was going to play, but Cuadrado is in from the start. So that's a late change for Chelsea, which is interesting. We've got plenty of time to talk about Chelsea and indeed Crystal Palace later on, but let's just take a little while to reflect on what has already been an astonishing weekend in the Barclays Premier League.
Goal for Queen's Park Rangers is much needed, and for Liverpool for many reasons, and Gerrard has popped up and got it. 118 Premier League goals, and Gerrard may well have won the 3 points for Liverpool.
But here they come with Cleverley through the centre into the penalty area. Tom Cleverley drives it high past Tim Howard to restore Aston Villa's 2-goal advantage.
Jordi Gomez steps up and scores, puts it in the opposite corner to the one in the first half that gave Sunderland the lead initially.
Taken down by Shelby on the far side. Step back for Key! Key Sung-Young finishes it. It's job done for Swansea.
It's Brunt, it's deflected, it's into the corner, and West Bromwich Albion lead at Old Trafford again.
Ulloa steps forward for Leicester and blasted in beyond Gruel into the net. Newcastle United are plummeting, and they are right in the relegation mix.
Well, an amazing day yesterday, which we brought to you here on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. I can just confirm for you that Ramirez has been taken ill in the dressing room. We don't understand it's anything particularly serious, but he will miss the game today, and Juan Cuadrado replaces him in the Chelsea midfield. Alan Pardew is actually sitting down chatting with a few fans, enjoying the occasion at Stamford Bridge. He, of course, is a former Newcastle manager, and I don't think there are too many up on Tyneside who are perhaps beginning to regret the fact that he isn't still the Newcastle manager, because the current boss, John Carver, has created probably the story of the weekend with an astonishing attack on his defender Mike Williamson, who was one of two Magpies players sent off after their 3-0 defeat at Leicester.
The biggest thing for me is losing the two players. Losing one, and I have to say, and I've said it to his face, so I'm not telling any lies. I thought he meant it. Because I must have wound him up too much, and certainly Daryl Janmaat was stupid as well, and I've told him that as well. Now we've lost where you think you're getting somewhere with 3 massive games coming up. We've lost now 2 more defenders, and there might be one more to add to that with injury.
Just to clarify that, when you say he meant it, he meant to get sent off?
Well, that's what it looked like to me. It looked as if the ball was going nowhere, he was running flat out, the ball's off the pitch, the player's off the pitch, and then you lunge into the challenge. Now, that could be premeditated, in my opinion. And when I'm sitting in the dugout or standing in the technical area, looking across, I was saying to myself, don't do it. He makes the tackle, and I knew what was coming.
Well, it's an extraordinary reaction from John Carver. Mike Williamson himself has made a statement very, very recently in the last half an hour or so, which I'll read to you. He says, "I'd like to take this opportunity to apologise to Newcastle and my fellow teammates for getting sent off during yesterday's game. There was absolutely no intent to hurt Jamie Vardy or get sent off. I recognise I should have been more composed and measured in my determination to win the ball, but unfortunately I did the one thing that I never wanted to do, and that was hurt the team. Moving forward, I will do whatever I can to help my teammates prepare for the next 2 games and fight to get back into the team when I'm next available. I've had the honour to play for Newcastle United for 5 years now, and I can genuinely say that I feel privileged to play for this football club. I would never do anything intentionally to hurt the team or its supporters." That's the reaction to his manager's comments yesterday from Mike Williamson. Paul, you've played professional football for a very, very long time. Have you ever known a professional deliberately get himself sent off in a game?
And when I heard that, I was stunned. I also never heard a manager come out and say that. What normally happens is behind the scenes they'll have a tear up, whatever, and that always stays behind the scenes. And it's really, you set an unhealthy precedent when you start talking about things like this, out to everyone. I mean, I've never heard it before. If he wants those players to support him and back him, this is not something that you should be doing. Say what you want behind closed doors, but in public, you may well say, the player was committed, he was frustrated, they weren't playing well. And in some games, you see some of the great players, Keane and Vieira, one good tackle changes the game. Maybe that's what he was thinking, I don't know. And he's mistimed the tackle based on the frustration of Newcastle not winning for 7 or 8 games. Maybe that's what's happened, but to accuse one of your own players of deliberately getting sent off is unheard of for me.
And, I mean, it's 8 successive defeats. Clearly, they're a shambles on the pitch. I mean, this tells us, does it not, that they're a shambles off the pitch as well. And, with Sunderland winning yesterday and other results potentially going against them, Newcastle very realistically could go down, because it's hard to make a case, I don't think, after all these defeats, for them getting another point this season.
Well, I tell you what will save them, it's a combination of 2 things. They're running out of games, fortunately, and there's 3 worse sides. Because if they'd had 6 or 7 games to go, they're going down. Because what they're showing is relegation form. The goals they're letting in are what I call relegation goals. They're where no responsibility is being taken at all. A broom has to come out in the summer and clear the decks, and a new manager needs to come in.
Well, that was one result. Leicester 3, Newcastle 0. That helps Leicester, of course, in their bid to avoid the drop. Aston Villa 3, vital points for them at home to Everton 3-2 winners. Not so good for Burnley, defeated at West Ham by a single goal, and Queen's Park Rangers, who lost at Liverpool. Sunderland beat Southampton to keep their hopes alive, and elsewhere West Bromwich Albion pretty much secured their survival with an away win at Manchester United, and Swansea were 2-0 winners over Stoke City. Well, still down at the bottom are Burnley after that single goal defeat by West Ham, secured by a Mark Noble penalty after Michael Duff was controversially sent off. And after the game, Burnley's manager Sean Dyche spoke to Ian Abrahams.
In the hurry to go in any elite sport, it comes down to defining moments, it comes down to clarity, it comes down to them special moments that turn a game. We haven't had enough of them. It's simple as that. We've been good with our shape, we've been good with our energy, we've created the chances, but you've got to take them, and that's why we all know where the chequebook normally lies, and that's in creative players.
And finally, I know not necessarily you care about everyone else, but you're doubly unlucky today because everybody else around the sort of...
No, that's not unlucky, that's the reality. That's it. That's not lucky. We can only concern ourselves with what we do. Everyone's got a right to win a game. We have ourselves. It just gets very, very tough when big decisions like that go against you.
Yeah, it was hard, I think, the decision on Burnley, but the fact remains that they can't score a goal for love nor money, and if you can't put the ball in the net, Paul, you've got no chance. And although I think Burnley, everybody's favourite underdogs, they're doomed now, surely.
Well, having been in a team that's been relegated and everyone said, oh, you're a great side after they beat you,
yeah.
That's not what you want. I'd rather be an ugly side but stay up.
Yeah.
The problem you have with teams down the bottom is this, and it's why Leicester are beginning to make a charge, is because they're scoring goals. Yeah. They're down there because they concede them. It's about scoring, and the thing that I thought might save Burnley is that they're creating chances. Danny Ings had a great chance to score. They can't hit a barn door at the moment, and they're getting dodgy decisions. It's never a sending off. It's a clumsy tackle, it's a yellow card, it's never a sending off. I'd love referees to actually come out and explain themselves, but that's another issue. But yes, you feel for Burnley, but Leicester have been absolutely magnificent. They're making a charge. They've shown some courage, which is difficult for teams down there, and they really do deserve to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Burnley have 26 points. They're 8 points adrift of Leicester City, who are in 17th. They only have 3 games left, and if they, fail to beat Hull next weekend, they will be relegated. Queen's Park Rangers could also be relegated next weekend if they lose to Manchester City, so it looks desperate for those two teams. West Bromwich Albion look as if they'll definitely be in the Premier League next season after a rather fortuitous 1-0 win at Manchester United. United dominated the match but simply couldn't break through, and their boss Louis van Gaal, who's now in a battle to hang on to 4th place, says his men need to work together to arrest what is now a 3-game losing streak.
To do my work and to communicate with my players and to prepare training sessions and to keep the confidence in our team. That is my work and that I have to do. But also the players has to focus and train at the highest level every day. And then you can come out of this row of defeats.
Yeah, 3 in a row for Manchester United. They've got 65 points. They're in 4th place, but only 4 ahead of Liverpool now, who were winners, of course, yesterday, and Tottenham Hotspur, who play Manchester City in our other featured game today. Just when you think that United are beginning to look back to what you expect them to look like, the wheels come off again.
Well, I'll tell you this, on all the games that I've done, and we've spoken about Man United, they've never convinced me this season. And what I've found is when they're awful, when they're not playing well, they're awful. Yeah. When they play average, what people see as well, it's still not really convincing. I'm not convinced about them this season. I think they need... Again, a broom's got to come out. There's people that, they've got a soft centre, they need a centre-half, they need a midfielder, and they definitely need someone up front. And they need top quality too, not people that you have to wait for. They need marquee signings to put them back where they should be. They should make Champions League, because I think Liverpool are not great at the moment, but you never can tell.
No. Well, Gareth Bale has been talked about as a possible arrival at Old Trafford. We'll have to wait and see about that. As we talk about arrivals, one man is bowing out very soon. Steven Gerrard got the winner against Queen's Park Rangers at Anfield yesterday. It could consign Queen's Park Rangers to relegation. It could be Steven Gerrard's last ever goal at Anfield. And after the game, Liverpool manager Brendan Rodgers, not surprisingly, says that the man who's become synonymous with all Liverpool's success over the last 15 years will be very sorely missed.
In terms of quality, sheer quality of a
as a football player. There's not many in our team that can rival that, and that's with all due respect to them. We've got a great bunch of boys who are good lads and honest and finding their feet in the game. You know, get young Coutinho and that, who's a wonderful technician, and one or two other players. But this is a guy who's, you know, at their age was arguably the best midfield player, you know, in European football. You know, so and still contributing at this age. So incredible talent, and like as I said, it'll probably only be when he's gone that people recognise how what a sheer talent he is.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers playing tribute there to Steven Gerrard, but it's not been a great season for Liverpool overall compared to what they came so close to a year ago. You've used the analogy twice, actually. New broom at Newcastle, new broom at Manchester United. The broom salesman will be selling out, because they possibly need one at Liverpool as well.
I think Liverpool have been victims of their own success and poor timing too. Should have won the title last year, punching above their weight for me. Sold their goals. Sturridge has been injured. And they're probably where they should be. For me, I think this is sort of where they should be. Sort of, you know, 4th or 5th, maybe around there. That's where they should be. But again, because they were so successful and so breathtakingly successful last year, they played some wonderful football. Managing expectation this season was going to be the thing. And because Sturridge has struggled, because they haven't had Suarez, because they bought poorly, Markovic hasn't been great, Balotelli's been poor, and they've not had the goals. That's what's cost them this season so far.
Well, we're 13 minutes away from kick-off at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea look to confirm their title as champions this season. This is talkSPORT's coverage of the Barclays Premier League live.
Still to come on Barclays Premier League live. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace from Stamford Bridge.
But Chelsea have played in Hazard. Hazard to put Chelsea in front. A delightful finish from Eden Hazard. And what a huge goal that is for Chelsea.
We want to finish as soon as possible. If we can do it at home, better. We have 2 matches at home. If you can do on Sunday, even better. That's what we have in our mind.
And now it's with Murray. Murray had the strength to win the challenge. Pantilimon comes a long way, and it could be 4. It is 4, and Balassi has got his hat-trick.
You know, for us, it's an important game. We've played very well against the top side since I've been here, and we want to continue that. So really and truly, we can only focus on our performance. But you know, as a professional manager, looking at the points total they need, they're all going to win the league.
Followed by Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester City from White Hart Lane.
Here comes Spurs looking to get back on terms, and they have for the second time in the game. Spurs have got themselves level.
I think that is important in the next 4 games to try to take the more point possible. I think that this is always is better if you finalize on the table 5th than 7th. I think is our real target now.
Oh, that's a real blunder from Braguzan, and he passed it straight to Aguero. It's a gift from Manchester City. Sergio Aguero opened the scoring inside 3 minutes.
No, we are thinking just to win the next game against Tottenham. In this moment we are 2 points in front of United. We don't depend just on what we can do. If we can reach the second place, so we are just thinking try to win the next game.
And then tomorrow, Hull City versus Arsenal from the KC Stadium.
El Mohammadi crosses, it's won by Dawson, and Hull City have taken the lead at the KC Stadium.
A lot of people a week ago were writing us off, but so we give ourselves a chance. That's all we've done, because we've still got 4 games to play, and I still think we need a couple of results, because other teams last week, teams at the bottom, got a result. It's all still to play for, and exciting, I suppose, if you're watching it from.
2 players with him, Giroud, but he goes for a goal and scores himself, and Arsenal are going second in the Barclays Premier League. Olivier Giroud rounded off a wonderful day for Arsenal.
Yeah, they had 2 great performances. They were quite in a very bad situation, and they had 2 amazing results, especially at home. They've just beaten Liverpool, and therefore we are warned that we will face a big challenge there.
That's all still to come on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT.
Welcome back to Stamford Bridge, where expectation is the key word, really. The Chelsea fans arriving at the ground, hoping that they'll be leaving it in celebratory mood. Well, let's hear from the man who's made it all so nearly possible, the Chelsea manager, Jose Mourinho. He says, typically perhaps, that the Blues are not under any pressure at all to clinch the title today.
We need a victory, or we need 3 points with 3 draws. Obviously, we want to finish as soon as possible. If we can do it at home, better. We have 2 matches at home. If you can do on Sunday, even better. That's what we have in our mind. But similar to Arsenal, similar to Leicester, we go to win. But in this moment, any point that we get is a positive point. So we are calm.
And Chelsea have played in Hazard. Hazard to put Chelsea in front. A delightful finish from Eden Hazard through the legs of David De Gea. And what a huge goal that is for Chelsea.
You analyze to every perspective, and you find always a Chelsea very strong in every ranking. The goals scored, the goals conceded, the records at home, the record away, the number of victories, the number of goals we scored, the number of goals we concede. By every perspective, you find a very strong Chelsea. That's why in such a difficult league to win, we are top of the league since day one.
Yeah, it's been an amazing season. They haven't lost in the league at all at Stamford Bridge. Some people have accused them of being boring, Paul. I don't buy it. How about you?
Well, I was just scribbling a few things down. I mean, for me, it's almost like he's sent them out to say, listen, up till Christmas, let's thrill them. Yep. Let's play some fantastic football. From Christmas onwards, let's just get the job done. And that literally is what they've done. They were fantastic. They played some of the best football that I've seen under Mourinho up to Christmas. You think about the assist that Cesc Fabregas had. Yep. You know, Eden Hazard was flying. Diego Costa was scoring goals. And then from Christmas onwards, it's almost like they've said, right, we need to just get the job done. Obviously, they were in a few other competitions, and it was literally, let's get the job done. And if you look at their last 3 or 4 games, they've won by the odd goal. Mm-hmm. You know, 0-0 at Arsenal, fantastic result. Got criticised for that, but it was a wonderful defensive display, and they just got the job done. And they will be worthy winners. They've played fantastic football.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, let's hear from the man who's trying to spoil the party today. It's Crystal Palace manager Alan Pardew.
Chelsea, in the terms of the quality of team they have, the structure that they have in place, the manager that they have in place, they'll win the league. But we don't want them to win it on Sunday, of course, because, you know, for us it's an important game. We've played very well against the top side since I've been here, and we want to continue that. So really and truly, we can only focus on our performance. But, you know, as a professional manager, looking at the points total they need, they're all going to win the league.
It's with Murray. Murray had the strength to win the challenge. Pantilimon comes a long way, and it could be 4. It is 4, and Balassi has got his hat-trick.
We always knew that our running was tough from this point forward to get the job done, and we've done that, which is great. But we've done a lot better than that and give ourselves a chance to the top 10. But the last 2 home defeats have knocked us back a bit, and we need to respond to that. We need to respond for ourselves and for the Premier League, because we want to keep the title race open if we can.
Alan Pardew in defiant mode. Palace might have lost their last 2 games, Paul, but let's face it, it's been an amazing season for them as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a wonderful season.
You've enjoyed it.
Well, they lost against Hull and West Brom, but they beat Man City in that they've been absolutely brilliant. He has been a breath of fresh air. It's my local club, Crystal Palace, and I know what they were going through before, and they were really struggling, and they were certain to go down. And what he's done he's just given them, I suppose he's given them wings and let them fly a little bit. That's what he's done. He said, go on, go and play. Go and play. You've got a great back 4, let's add to it. And he has improved them from Tony Pulis' time.
He certainly has, and well done to them. Well, we're 5 minutes away from the potential crowning of Chelsea as Premier League champions. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT.
one planet, one game, one football. The all-new One Football app is available right now for iOS, Android and Windows phones. With all the latest football news, live scores, results, highlights and more from the Premier League, Champions League and hundreds of international competitions. Download the One Football app from your App Store today to follow all the Premier League matches with live text commentary and vote for your man of the match. One Football, the best app for football fans.
Well, Everton coming forward here. It's 3. Kevin Morales off the bench to finish Manchester United off.
This is Barclays Premier League Live. Exclusive global Premier League radio commentary and post-match analysis.
Found his way towards us, back to Arnautovic. Tries a turn, it's going to come back for Adam! Oh, absolute rocket into the top corner. Stoke deservedly level.
Barclays Premier League Live. All the biggest games every Premier League weekend.
It's going to be in, surely! It's turned in! Leicester have the lead! Just a minute after Burnley miss a penalty, Leicester go up the other end and put the ball into the back of the net.
This is Barclays Premier League Live. Never miss a kick of the Barclays Premier League. All weekend, every weekend.
Before his goal that won the game, it's a good delivery, and it's turned in by Fernandinho. They were 2-0 up, they were pegged back to 2-2, and Fernandinho, with his third goal of the season, makes it Manchester City 3, Aston Villa 2.
Exclusively live Barclays Premier League action throughout the season. This is Barclays Premier League Live.
Oliveira goes one way, and the ball into the channel finds him. Back across the face of goal! And there it is! Goal number 3 from the unlikeliest of sources for Swansea City, Jack Cork.
This is Barclays Premier League Live. Exclusive global Premier League radio commentary and post-match analysis.
Ramirez plays it in Doyle, and Doyle is seeing it, and he does, and it's Hull City who will take all 3 points in an afternoon where they needed to get the job done.
Barclays Premier League Live. Exclusive worldwide coverage and full match commentary of the Barclays Premier League.
Here comes Spurs looking to get back on terms, and they have for the second time in the game. Spurs have got themselves level.
Talk Sport live on TuneIn. This is real radio.
Back in the net!
Hear every Barclays Premier League match live in weekend's match between Chelsea and Liverpool.
Hazard to put Chelsea in front. A delightful finish from Eden Hazard.
Every kick, every goal from the home of football on TuneIn in association with talkSPORT.com, official global audio partner of the English Premier League.
Welcome to our coverage of Chelsea against Crystal Palace from Stamford Bridge. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Charlton Athletic, Aston Villa and Crystal Palace midfielder Paul Mortimer. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Well, somewhere inside Stamford Bridge there is a very large refrigerator which contains bottles of champagne on ice. Chelsea are within touching distance of yet another Premier League title since they won the double in 2010, but the return of Jose Mourinho has put them on the brink of a third title under him, a 5th overall in their history. They won it in 1955, then had to wait 50 years for the first coming of Mourinho. They won it in 2005 and 2006. They won it in 2010 under Carlo Ancelotti, and they are on the brink today of being crowned champions with 3 games to spare. The team news is that Loic Remy returns for Chelsea, but only on the bench, so Didier Drogba continues up front. Thibaut Courtois replaces Petr Cech in goal, and there's a very, very late change for Chelsea. Ramirez was taken ill just before kick-off, so Juan Cuadrado will come in on the right side of midfield. There are a few changes for Palace. Joel Ward's back from his injury, while Adrian Mariappa is a more surprising inclusion as the other fullback. Skipper Mila Jedinak and striker Glenn Murray are relegated to the bench, so Joe Ledley and Jordan Much return to midfield with Yannick Bolasie, the lone man up front. The referee today is Kevin Friend. Chelsea are wearing their traditional all-blue strip with white socks. Crystal Palace in a change strip of yellow shirts and light blue shorts. Well, we had a royal baby yesterday. Are we going to get a coronation at Stamford Bridge today? Big atmosphere inside this ground. They've been leaders of the Premier League from the word go, and they'll be looking to finish it off in style in front of their own fans today. Let me take you through the two teams then. Thibaut Courtois returns in goal for Chelsea. It's the now familiar back four: Branislav Ivanovic, Gary Cahill, skipper John Terry and Cesar Azpilicueta. Nemanja Matic would have been alongside Ramirez. He's been taken ill, so Cesc Fabregas will slot in deep in the back, with Juan Cuadrado coming on the right, Willian moving across to the middle, and Eden Hazard, the footballer of the year, on the left-hand side. Didier Drogba is up front. For Palace, Julian Speroni is the goalkeeper. The back four is Adrian Mariappa, Scott Dan, Damian Delaney and Joel Ward. They have five in midfield as Chelsea look to attack early on with Cuadrado, who's only making his third Premier League start, finding Willian into Cuadrado again. This is Ivanovic. I'll give you the rest of the Palace team once this attack reaches its conclusion. It was chipped in by Fabregas towards Drogba, and it was claimed by Speroni. In front of that Palace back four, we have five in midfield: Jason Punchin, James MacArthur, Joe Ledley, Jordan Much and Wilfried Zaha. Up front, it is Yannick Bolasie. That's the starting lineups for Chelsea against Crystal Palace. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea have started perhaps as they mean to go on, looking to take the game to Palace. Thibaut Courtois, wearing an all-red strip, has got his first touch. Courtois rolls it out to Gary Cahill. How much effect, if any, Paul, will the absence of Ramirez have for Chelsea? Obviously, it's an interesting replacement in Cuadrado. We haven't seen a great deal of him, really.
And I was saying to you off air, I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. Ramirez brings you activity, mobility, legs. He gives you energy, and he can score. He scored a great goal midweek. He can score goals. Cuadrado, we've seen fleetingly. Don't really know enough about him, do we? But I think today's going to be about Chelsea. About Palace. We know what's going to happen with Chelsea. I don't think they're going to suffer from nerves or anything like that. They're far too experienced. It's going to be the type of Palace display that's either going to spur Chelsea on or make it difficult for Chelsea.
Yeah, well, Cuadrado was part of the Colombian team that got to the World Cup quarter-finals and lost to Brazil, so he's a very experienced player. This is only his 11th appearance for Chelsea, and incredibly, after 11 appearances, he could be picking up his second trophy, because he came on as a sub in the League Cup final. That was only his 5th appearance, and he could be part of a championship-winning team with a medal around his neck in about 2 hours' time.
It's a great start, but I mean, like I said to you before, you can calculate his Chelsea career in minutes rather than games. He really hasn't. He's played a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there. This is a great opportunity for him to actually feel part of it, because although he'll win a medal, sometimes you don't feel part of it. So being able to play this game and maybe show what he can do would be something special for him.
Well, the man standing over the ball as Chelsea have a free kick inside the Crystal Palace half is a man with more medals than most could ever dream of getting. It's Drogba, and he's driven it straight into the first defender. But Eden Hazard, rightly, I think, was voted by his peers as the best player of the season. Plays it back to Willian. Here's Hazard again on the left-hand side. Palace have a woeful record at Stamford Bridge. They've only ever won twice on this ground. Last time was back in 1982. Chelsea were winners at Selhurst Park earlier in the season by 2-1. Somewhat bad-tempered game in which Damian Delaney for Palace and Cesar Azpilicueta for Chelsea were both sent off. The ball is hoisted forward up towards Drogba. It's headed away comfortably by Delaney, but here come Chelsea again. They've made a very positive start, haven't they?
I mean, they you saw them before the whistle blew. They look committed, they look pumped up, they look ready to play, and they're confident.
Well, you'd think they would be. There's no foul there, as some of the Chelsea fans felt there was a rather overzealous challenge in midfield. The ball is played up towards Yannick Bolasie. Jordan Much went through there on Willian.
Oh, yeah.
He's taken him out, hasn't he?
Well, what's happened also, as you can see in it, I think it's his right foot. Yeah, he's just twisted his ankle. It's the follow through from Much more than anything else. His knee catches Willian's ankle and just twists his ankle a little bit. That'll be a little bit painful. It's one of them he'll have to try and run off.
Jordan Much playing his first game Palace since the last day of February. It's been quite a little while, a couple of months on the sidelines. The former Birmingham, Cardiff and Queen's Park Rangers man. The ball's gone out of play close to the two technical areas where both of the managers are smartly dressed in dark suits. Jose Mourinho said that every time he wins a trophy, and it's an incredible 7 titles in 4 countries in the last 12 seasons, he just he sort of leaves them lying around the house. He's kids' rooms. He doesn't have a trophy cabinet as such, and he said that, you know, as soon as they've won this, he'll probably spend one day celebrating, and then it'll be back to the next one. And I suppose that's
what winners do.
That's the genius of it, isn't it?
That's what winners do. They'll have their little celebration, but you know what? We're here to win. We're here to win the title. So after this, he'll be thinking about how to improve already a fantastic title-winning side, how to make them better.
Well, we are being a little presumptuous and perhaps a little unkind to your former club, Crystal Palace. They haven't won it yet, Chelsea. I mean, the situation is, of course, that they are at the moment 13 points ahead of Manchester City, who played 34 games, and Arsenal, who played 33. So theoretically and mathematically, Arsenal can get as high as 82 points. So Chelsea with 80, if they were to win today, obviously that would make them uncatchable. Were they to draw, then I think they could win the title on Monday if Hull City were to beat Arsenal. They don't want to win it like that, do they?
I must admit, if that was to happen, you know...
Hang on, here's Zaha for Palace. He's just wriggled the ball through, and they have it again. Palace inside the Chelsea penalty area with Zaha, and they've
lovely bit of skill from
won
Zaha.
A corner. Yeah, he did well there.
Quick feet. He's one of those, 1 minute the ball's there and then it's gone. And I think Much is offside.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's offside.
They were a bit fortunate there, Palace, that the referee didn't spot the offside, or the assistant didn't in the end.
But they deal with it. Look at them. There's 5 or 6 Chelsea players. They don't even want to concede a goal. You can see that desire in them.
Well, it's Jason Punchin with an out-swinging corner for Crystal Palace, the first of the game. It's not a good one. It's headed away at the near post by Willian, who finds Cuadrado. Cuadrado's crossfield ball, rather inadvertently, is intercepted by Kevin Friend, the referee. It comes back to Palace, who knock it forward again. Zaha on his day, and it isn't always his day, but on his day can trouble just about anyone.
I think that's the biggest problem with Zaha. He looks world-class on his day, and the unfortunate thing is, I've not seen Zaha control a whole game. He's a spells player. You know, there'll be a spell of 10 minutes where it'll be magnificent, and he could win the game in that 10 minutes. But that's all it is. It's never, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. You look at Eden Hazard, what makes him a class apart is he controls games.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I remember Wilfried Zaha was magnificent against Watford when Crystal Palace won that playoff that took them into the Premier League a couple of seasons ago.
John, that's the difference between the Premier League and the Championship.
Absolutely.
He was a superstar in the Championship. The Premier League, the players are much of a muchness in terms of physical attributes. They're all quick, they're all strong. You've got to have a little bit more, and he's been found wanting in certain games.
Miserable spell at Manchester United, and
it's not his fault. I felt
Cardiff
for him
as well.
Felt from at United. Yeah, it's a difficult club to go to, especially when the manager leaves.
Here's Didier Drogba for Chelsea. It just flicks off the heel of Cuadrado. It's still not completely clear for Palace, who eventually get it away, but not very well. It's dropped at the feet of Willian. Nice little flick by Hazard. Cuadrado tries to keep the ball in play, and he's succeeded in doing that, but Palace will knock it away through Damien Delaney up towards halfway. Cahill wins the header, but it drops into the path of Jordan Much. Credit to Palace. They've started as if they mean to try and spoil the party if they can, but Zaha can't quite steer the ball down to Much on the left-hand side. It's cut out by Nemanja Matic.
Well, John, they have that threat. Bolassie's strong and he's quicker. You know what? He looks like he's up for it. He looks like he's ready to work. And if they can get the ball to him, I think in this Premier League he's got the beating of most defenders.
It's funny, isn't it? We all watched Newcastle yesterday, and we're amazed at the sort of lackadaisical nature of the way that their players approached what is increasingly a relegation battle. And here we have Crystal Palace with allegedly nothing to play for, and yet they've come at Chelsea and they've won another corner off Cahill's head.
This is the mentality of the manager.
Yeah.
This is how he inspires his players. Players are motivated themselves. That's an individual thing. He doesn't need to motivate them. Not for this game. This is a huge game, and these are the games that players want to play in. You know, so really give it everything, Crystal Palace.
10 minutes gone. Palace have a corner. Punchin again looking for a better one than last time. It is. And there's a decent-looking header. And here's Wilfried Zaha trying to steer the ball goalwards. He's kept it alive. Punchin comes in. And it's just nodded away by Matic. And Chelsea, having taken the game to Palace in the opening 5 minutes, have been on the back foot for much of the latest 5. And here's Punchin again for Palace. The ball is knocked into the box by Delaney. Met by the head of Scott Dan, who's a capable player from set pieces with his head, but he's been caught offside.
I think he's either offside or is a little bit of a push, but what they did really well, they kept the ball in there. You know, they won it back with, I think it's Balassi and Zaha, did really well to win it back, get the ball back in the box, because if you get at this Chelsea back four, if you expose them, especially the two centre-halves who don't have any pace, you're in with a chance. The thing is, they're so good at negating that, it doesn't happen often enough, does it?
No. There's a big sign, a big banner, a flag on the far side which says Cyprus Blues, just underlying the global nature of Chelsea's support now since Roman Abramovich arrived, and they've had this success. Obviously a lot of fans outside the UK tend to ally themselves to teams that enjoy success. Don't forget, obviously, if you want to have a chat with us via Twitter, please do, at talkSPORT Live. Warren B, good morning from Flagstaff, Arizona. Chelsea rolls on to the championship, well, not at the moment yet. And that's a foul by Cuadrado on the returning Joel Ward, who missed the defeat by Hull on Saturday with a calf injury, but is back in the team. Adrian Mariappa is the other fullback, which surprised me a little, and Ward is playing on the left, which is not his natural position.
Listen, Ward is a decent defender, and I think he can play anywhere along the back four, and he's had a fantastic season. He's been a real strong member of that back four, and they're a great unit.
Just caught a glimpse of Roman Abramovich. He's very, very casually dressed, wearing a pale blue shirt and a sort of khaki zip-up jacket, looking extremely relaxed.
This is club. He can wear what he wants. I bet you where he is, there's a dress code. I bet you it's smart. You've got to go in there smart. Apart from if you're Roman Abramovich, you wear what you want.
Be a brave Dorm and say, sorry, sir, you can't come in without a tie.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that?
Well, one of the points actually that I think Mourinho was making is that arguably this could be a bigger achievement, than 10 years ago when they first won it under him, because of course in that season Abramovich had arrived with all this money season before, and they were by some distance the richest clubs. But of course you've got Manchester City now and United, of course, a big club as well, and in some ways it's slightly they're all money bags at the top now, aren't they? Well, Arsenal have more money than perhaps they did 10 years ago. Anyway, it's a free kick to Crystal Palace, which is chipped in rather unconvincingly. Terry, as he has done all season, clears the ranks for but Punchin will look to keep it alive for Palace, rolls it through to Scott Dan, intercepted by Fabregas, who incidentally is wearing that mask again. Broke his nose in a recent game against Stoke City. He wasn't wearing it for the second half against Leicester, but he is now. Here's Cuadrado as Chelsea look to counter-attack. Eden Hazard, dangerous of course as ever, now inside the Palace penalty area, gets to the ball line, cuts it back. Tried to find Willian, and it was a very, very good intervention, I think, by Dan, to prevent the ball reaching its intended target from Chelsea's point of view.
Well, it's a great counter-attack, isn't it? Cuadrado runs 20 yards with the ball, gives it to Hazard, and in a position where he loves to be, 1v1, backing the player up, manages to put a cross in, well defended.
Here's the corner, Fabregas, it's headed away by Balassi, who's back helping out his defenders, and then pushes the ball forward, trying to instigate a speedy counter-attack. Palace, Ledley rolls it across field towards Punchin, who tries to keep it in, but it's gone out of play in front of a great bank of blue-clad Chelsea supporters inside Stamford Bridge. Just short of 15 minutes played. Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0 on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Will Chelsea be crowned as champions today, or will they have to wait a little bit? Jose Mourinho says he's not that bothered. I can imagine he'd be very, very happy if they can get it sorted.
You want to get the job done as soon as possible, and then you can enjoy it. You see Hazard getting fouled yet again. I think he's the most fouled player, isn't he, in the Premier League?
Wouldn't be surprised. It's Mariappa and the covering defender MacArthur who got in a tangle there of legs with
painful
Hazard, who seems to be okay. He's just hobbling away slightly gingerly as Chelsea contemplate a free kick which is 30 yards out, just to the left of centre. There's a 5-man Crystal Palace wall. The extravagantly bearded Joe Ledley is on the left-hand flank of it. Ivanovic and Fabregas are both standing over the ball at the moment. You would think it would favour a right footer. It is a long way out, but I think Ivanovic is going to leave it for Fabregas and peel off round the outside and get the header in. It was a well-worked move until the final delivery, really, where there was nobody anticipating Ivanovic's header. It was Fabregas who chipped it forward. Ivanovic ran over the ball, got into a position to head across. It didn't look as if too many of the Chelsea players, Drogba, etc., had too much of an idea that was going to happen.
Yeah, it was almost as though Fabregas and Ivanovic made that up for themselves and didn't tell anyone.
No one else was in on the joke.
No one else was in on it.
Here's Willian driving forward. Chelsea have just weathered a little bit of a Crystal Palace spell of pressure and are beginning to get back on the front foot again. But the ball is rolled forward by MacArthur to Joel Ward. And, patrol the left-hand side today. I just wonder whether... Interesting that Adrian Mariappa, who's not played too many games for Crystal Palace this season, it's only his 16th appearance, and he's the man who's been entrusted with trying to keep an eye on Hazard. So that'll be an interesting one. Here's Willian, who's had an excellent season.
Good player, very.
And Cuadrado fancies a shot here. It's not a bad one either. He slipped a little as he struck it. It was a right foot effort with plenty of power, but it just went too high.
Well, we're getting a good look at Cuadrado, and he works really hard. You can see that. He works well when they haven't got the ball. It's a decent strike. 5, 6, 7, 8 yards closer to the goal. You know what? You've got to be looking at him as someone who can cause havoc from outside the box with his long shots.
Yeah, you mentioned his hard work. There was a good moment about 10 minutes ago, wasn't there, when the ball was going out of play. He was desperate to keep it in, and he did succeed in doing that against all the odds. So
works hard.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic squad player. £26 million
for a squad
worth
player.
Of player. Wow. Yeah, I mean, joined in February from Fiorentina, with whom, of course, he has extensive European experience. Here's Hazard just inside the Crystal Palace half, finds Fabregas, who's come into some real form in recent matches, but he's given the ball away there. And here's the orange-booted Wilfried Zaha coming forward, and there's Cuadrado again getting back and helping out Ivanovic by sliding in, preventing the ball from getting to Balassi.
Well, what they're doing really well, Palace, is they get the ball into Zaha, who comes short for it, sucks the ball back in, and Ward is making overlapping runs, which forces Cuadrado back, and he's working really well right now.
Well, Cuadrado's been given the slip here by Zaha, who crosses it in with his left foot. It wasn't the best cross, and it's going to bounce away across the line, or along the line and away for a throw-in on the far side. Great little shimmy to get himself the space, but the cross didn't match it.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to criticise him, because what happens more often than not with a right footer playing on the left is that desire to cut in onto their right foot, and he didn't. He's run down the wing and he's used his weaker left foot, and long may that continue.
Yeah,
he's got the confidence to do that, so I won't criticise him for that.
As Piliqueta throws in for Chelsea, and then on the half volley hoisted up towards the halfway line, Damien Delaney rolls it back to the so far untroubled Julian Speroni, who's closing in on 400 appearances for Crystal Palace. Really has been a magnificent servant to the club, just coming up to the end of his 13th season at Selhurst Park. Brilliant, yeah. Hasn't kept a clean sheet, mind you, in 11 games since they beat Leicester at the
they do
King
concede,
Power Stadium
don't they?
back in February. Yeah, they do.
They do concede, and they're playing against a team who concede very little.
Well,
I think
Chelsea's they've got 16 clean sheets this season, Chelsea.
But they've only conceded 7 goals
at home.
At home, so if they score the first goal, it's going to be the first goal in these kind of games is crucial.
Yeah. The referee's just having a little word with Jordan Much, who's been guilty of a couple of
late ones,
slightly overzealous and ill-timed challenges. He's sort of shrugging his shoulders. Ivanovic is having a right go at him, and the referee's going to have a chat with the pair of them.
Ivanovic can take care of himself, don't worry about that.
Well, we've had almost 20 minutes played at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. It's all got a little bit scrappy. The ball is gone out of play. We're watching a replay of the two coming together, Ivanovic and Much. There was a little bit of macho posturing. But the ball is back in play now, and it's not very well cleared by Crystal Palace. It cannoned back off one of their own players. It's dropped at the feet of Willian over on the far side, looking to take on Mariappa. Clips the ball into the box. Firm header away by MacArthur. Now Fabregas. This is Nemanja Matic, who's been very much, I think, maybe not an unsung hero, but a player who doesn't really grab the headlines, but has had an amazingly consistent season.
I think Chelsea have got the three premier players in the country right now in Terry and Matic.
Yeah.
Matic has been absolutely fantastic, but because he's not a flair player who scores goals, he's not, his worth isn't seen. He's definitely seen by the Chelsea faithful and the players, but you know, he's been a wonderful signing. When you consider they sold him, didn't they?
Yeah,
they bought him
that's
back.
Right. They brought him back. I mean, he's not a heralded signing, as you say. Had a spell at Benfica. Came back. He's been absolutely brilliant. Here's Cahill finding Ivanovic. Back to Matic on the centre spot. Just rolls it out to Willian on the far side. This is Fabregas. Patient build-up for Chelsea. They're now into the final third as they attack. Here's Matic again. Lays it off to Hazard. He tries to flick it through to Cuadrado. And Willian in the end just clatters into the Welsh international Joe Ledley, who goes rolling over, and it's going to be a free kick to Crystal Palace.
Well, you're going to find those MacArthur, Much and Ledley are going to have to work their socks off, because Chelsea rotates so much in that midfield area, with Drogba up there by himself and Hazard and Hazard and Willian and Fabregas all rotating. The three midfielders sitting in front of Palace's back four are going to have to be really focused and concentrate on their job.
Yeah, you mentioned Drogba there. He hasn't seen too much of the ball as yet. Managed to end a 20-match goalless run at Leicester in midweek, but 11 years ago Didier Drogba was on target for Chelsea against Crystal Palace in their first ever Premier League winning season. Here's Cuadrado, who swaps across to the left-hand side, has been taken out by Scott Dann, and you're right, the pocket is being reached for by Kevin Friend, who waves a card in the face of Scott Dann, the first booking of the game.
Cuadrado gets past him. I think they're in. I think they've got a chance. The next pass is an important one, and looks like Dan recognised that. Took him out.
Took one for the team. It's been a criticised phrase, that, but
it's true.
As a professional,
it's a team foul,
you have to.
Yeah, you do sometimes.
Here's Fabregas just clipping the ball in. The goalkeeper Speroni makes a mess of the punch. It's picked up by Matic, who's got a chance here perhaps to shoot. He does. Well, and Speroni, having fumbled initially, recovered to save with his legs at the near post. It was a free kick by Fabregas. They all pulled out looking for an offside, which never came. The goalkeeper made a mess of the punch. Matic collected it, and from a narrow angle couldn't beat the keeper at the near post.
That was strange. The Palace players all squeezed out.
Yeah,
but
they did.
We'll have to have another look at that.
They left 4 Chelsea players on side.
Well, they
Here's
should have been
the corner. Fabregas takes it deep. Nodded back by Cahill. And Speroni under some pressure from Matic. Claim that was awful defending by Palace, wasn't it?
It was initially a tricky moment for them. I mean, from this corner, he does really well to keep hold of it, Speroni. And what they need to do now is just clear their heads, because that was a poor bit of defending.
It was indeed.
And they've got away with it. They've got lucky.
Wow. I think the goalkeeper was slightly startled by the sight of
I was gonna
4
say,
blue shirts in front of him, and he didn't make a good effort.
I think he was shocked. I think you're right, John. He looked at him, he's thinking, what is going on here? Where's my defence?
They were halfway to the halfway line by the time the ball came. Anyway, to be fair to Speroni, goalkeeper, 35 years old now, he made a good recovery save to prevent Matic making it 1-0 to Chelsea on the day when they hope to be officially confirmed as Premier League champions for a 4th time. They won the old First Division, of course, in 1955, long before the majority of the crowd inside Stamford Bridge were born. Now then, Fabregas with a bit of initiative tries to take a very quick throw in, but it's gone too far ahead of Hazard. And,
over-enthusiastic.
Scott Dan's tidying up for Palace. It's going to be another throw, which I think they'll probably take a little more time over this time, as Piliqueta takes it and finds Fabregas. Fabregas, who, of course, didn't win the title in his days at Arsenal, but could win the Premier League for the first time this afternoon. Hazard to Willian. Matic forward, good ball to Fabregas, right on the far edge of the 18-yard box, fouled by Punchin, and this really is an opportunity for Chelsea.
Well, it's on the left-hand side of the penalty area of, I suppose, Chelsea's attacking area, right at the corner of the penalty area. So it looks like it's going to be a right-footer in swinging. Could have a shot from here. Fancy Drogba might fancy it. Left footer would out-swing it. Yeah, it looks like Drogba's there.
Well, he's certainly capable, isn't he?
He is. Wonderful play from Chelsea, just probing and then attacked. Great pace on the ball from I think it was Matic into Fabregas, who turned and was fouled.
Well, Drogba's having a conversation with Willian, but I don't think there's too much doubt that Didier Drogba, who's won 3 Premier League titles with Chelsea in the past, 4 FA Cups, 3 League Cups and a Champions League.
Not that much then. Incredibly successful
amazing career.
And he didn't start well either at Chelsea. He had a very slow start, turned into a legend.
Here he is then, looking to add to that legend from this free kick. It's Drogba!
Oh, wow!
Oh, the goalkeeper's just about scrambled it away. It was very, very straight. Speroni should have caught it, really. He didn't. He fumbled it. Terry was in there.
Oh, John, I have to disagree
Palace
with
managed
you.
to scramble it away.
Oh, we have to talk about that in a sec.
Okay.
The
Here's,
movement of the ball.
Fabregas for Chelsea. Flips it with the inside of his right foot into the box, where it's repelled by Palace, up towards Yannick Bolasie, who is fouled on the halfway line. Go on then, have a go.
Well, I'll tell you, if you watch that free kick again, the ball, it loops and then dips.
We're going to see it now.
You see it from behind and up it goes. Oh, it's just it. I think the movement of the ball has dumbfounded as we see it from behind. Yes, it's going at pace and it just dips in front of him. So I think he did well to get... That's got to be a booking, I think.
Well, it's a foul, certainly, by Ivanovic.
Well, it's
already
a rugby tackle.
Had a talking to, and it is a yellow card for the Serbian right fullback, who's making his 46th appearance of the season for Chelsea in all competitions. Yes, he's taken out Zaha, hasn't he? So
literally picked him up.
Yeah, one player on each team is walking a disciplinary tightrope now. Scott Dan for Palace, Branislav Ivanovic for Chelsea. 27 minutes played, nothing really much in the way of chances. Few efforts off target, but it's been a watchable game, and Palace have played a very big part. And they have a corner taken by Punchin over the head, though, of Jordan Much. Kept in on the far side by Azpilicueta, who finds Matic. Here's Cesc Fabregas, who decides to drive it long. It's into Ward's Cuadrado. It's not a very good header away by Ward. It's come out to Drogba, still inside the box, but he got the ball lost under his feet. Wins it back, though, from Punchin. And Palace finally scrap it away.
It's a foul on Punchin. Bit of a late challenge.
Drogba seemed to tread on the ball there as he was trying to get the ball under his control.
There was half a dozen Palace players converged on him, though, so it was very difficult for him. But he did win it back again. But they recovered well, Crystal Palace.
The other thing about Drogba, sort of illuminated and astonishing, it's just his ability to score the goals when it matters, the big games, the cup finals,
that's what you remember from
Champions League finals, and it wouldn't surprise you if he was to get the goal that clinches the title. I remember on this ground, was it 1986, Kenny Dalglish got a goal for Liverpool.
To win the title,
it was so fitting, wasn't it, that season that he
was
got
player
it.
Manager, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Lovely finish too.
Yes, it was. Here's Zaha into the Chelsea box. Only half-good chance for Palace.
That's
deflected. And it was an excellent block, I think, by John Terry. The ball is back in by Palace, but inaccurately so. And that was the best chance of the game so far. And it's that man, Terry, again.
Wonderful play from, I think it's from Zaha on the right. It's a wonderful block from both centre-halves. They've just thrown their body. That desire not to concede a goal is absolutely incredible. And it's infectious. It rubs off on everyone in the side.
I can't remember who it was I was reading about, talking about John Terry, is that I really can't remember who it was, but they basically said they cannot remember a player in Premier League history defensively who reads a game and the situation better than him.
The ball finds him. From
incredible.
Crosses, he's heading it. It just seems to find him in in any situation. I mean, the opponents have got the ball wide. They're going to cross it. Who heads it clear?
Yeah.
John Terry. They get blocks it. John Terry. It's incredible.
He seems to know what the striker's going to do before the striker
well,
does.
He's reading the game. He's
amazing.
He's 2 steps ahead, and that's what makes him. And when you consider he's got no pace.
No.
Yet you never see him.
Need it really.
Never see him exposed.
Well, we've just passed the top of the hour. The score is still Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT, where Branislav Ivanovic has gone down with an injury, and there's a break in play. We're going to get another look at this magnificent interception by Terry. I mean, he started diving in and managed to block it superbly.
It looked like he hit his arm too.
Yeah.
On another day, you never quite know. He's got his hand up there.
The thing is, what he's done is off at the ball. For me, I just don't see how it could possibly be deemed as deliberate. It's hit his sort of upper arm as he dived in. Now, the problem for Chelsea at the moment is that Branislav Ivanovic is still awkwardly down, and it looks like he's injured one of his knees. Their Chelsea medical staff, led by Eva Canera, the doctor at Chelsea. Alan Pardew's taking this opportunity to talk to his players. I mean, Pardew, it's an incredible story, isn't it? I mean, you know, he leaves Newcastle, that's what they wanted, and they end up almost, well, in real danger of relegation, and, you know, Palace could end up 11 or 10.
Yeah.
So a team who many people had said were certs to go down.
Just goes to show, you know, everyone thinks that managers aren't important and they don't play a role, and it's all about the players. Well, I'm virtually sure if Newcastle know now what they did then, they'd have Pardew back, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it underlines the expression, be careful what you wish for, doesn't it?
I have said that
really
so many times. I've said that with Newcastle
so
many times. They seem to think that they deserve more. There's an entitlement. They should have a big name manager. No, you've got to produce a bit first. Well, to entice a big name manager.
The next manager they're talking about potentially is Steve McLaren, who ended up 8th with Derby in the Championship, incredibly, having led the table in February, missed out on the playoffs.
I saw them a few times this season, and they've played some magnificent football, and it's the reason why, if you look at Chelsea being so successful, when it actually mattered, they had the big game bottle to be able to deal with it. The big game players came to the party and got them through it. And that's why teams like Chelsea are really, you know, always going to be there or thereabouts.
Hasn't been much of a party yet, atmosphere-wise, at Stamford Bridge, I don't think. A goal will change all that. Here's Ivanovic, who happily looks okay, finding Drogba. Drogba just spins away from the attentions of Delaney, but credit to the Irishman. He got a foot in to get the ball away, and now it's a real tangle between Zaha and Cuadrado. The referee's, I think, penalising Zaha. He's wagging a finger towards the former Manchester United flyer, who's got his face in his shirt at the moment, but it was a real tangle of legs here.
Well, there was a bit of a challenge. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that, as far as I'm concerned. Let the two players duke it out, you know, and play on, because there's two players battling for the ball. Neither was strong enough. So, you know, leave them to it.
Chelsea have it with Hazard inside the Palace half. This is Cesar Azpilicueta, another one who's performed brilliantly this season without a huge amount of fanfare. Now Fabregas just outside the centre circle, inside the Palace half, pushes it forward to Hazard. Nice little languid chip ahead by Willian. Azpilicueta, though, can't quite keep it in at full stretch. He's frustrated with himself, and Palace have a throw.
Well, what you're seeing now is just how good tactically Alan Pardew is, because what he's done is he's made it really difficult for Chelsea to break them down. You know, Chelsea are now hoping that the individual ability of Hazard and people like that come to the fore, but it hasn't really happened. They've sat in really well, Palace, and said, yeah, come on, Chelsea, come and break us down. We've got pace on attack, so come and try and break us down. And they found it difficult so far, Chelsea.
Keep the tweets coming. Chelsea with Fabregas have a deflected shot, which is easy for Julian Speroni. Man like TJ says, eagerly listening from Adelaide, Australia, going to enjoy a title win in fitting style through the radio. We are Chelsea FC. It's not quite going according to the script as yet, but here comes Nemanja Matic He's got Azpilicueta just to his left, but he's going to come the opposite direction now and find Fabregas, centre midfield, feeds Hazard. It was an excellent ball. Yeah, Cuadrado just didn't quite time his run right, and by the time the ball came at him, it was just behind his right heel, and he couldn't control it.
He's just made his run angled. If he'd made his run straight towards the goal line, he definitely would have been in and be able to receive it on the inside of his right foot and drive in to score. But yeah, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to be patient, and I'm sure Mourinho will have said to them, listen, the goal might come in the 91st minute, so be patient. Don't go overextending yourself. Be patient.
Here's the long ball forward by Palace. It's bounced off Fabregas and towards Balassi, but hooked away by Cahill, and then a little deft header by Jordan Much, and Zaha's trying to get round the outside now as Ivanovic just shoved him in the back there.
I think he has.
Went for the ball. Zaha thinks so. I don't think the referee agrees.
Well,
and
he's
going to be no free kick.
He's giving him a tough because he's pulling him back. And yeah, I think he does ease him out of it.
Yeah, he does.
He makes a meal of it, but he does ease him out of it. He's playing the player and not the ball. But defenders will always get away with it.
He ended up in the advertising hoardings, did Wilfried Zaha. Clearance by Thibaut Courtois, who's been relatively untroubled so far. Missed the game against Leicester City with a slight hip injury. Petr Cech came in and actually conceded a rare goal for Chelsea recently. Fabregas missed, kicks on the edge of the box, but there's a follow-up drive from Azpilicueta, which went flying over the crossbar. He's only ever scored once for Chelsea. Azpilicueta, you'd have got long odds on him opening the scoring today.
Very good one-touch play. Fabregas plays a 1-2 with Drogba. The ball bounces funny for him. He completely misses it, and then Azpilicueta tries to score with the outside of his left foot, being a right footer. Yeah, there's a good chance of that ending in Rosette, isn't there?
He's never scored in the Premier League for Chelsea. His only goal came in a League Cup tie against Arsenal about 18 months ago. Alan Pardew is standing in front of Joel Ward, who's about to take a throw in right on halfway, gesticulating, wearing a dark suit in counterpoint to his grey hair. Ball is knocked forward by Ward for Palace, away by John Terry for Chelsea up towards halfway. Cuadrado to Matic and quickly forward to Hazard, who's looking to get forward. Ivanovic lets it run through to Willian on this right-hand side. They're midway inside the Palace half. Willian tries to go past Zaha. Zaha clips him, and it's going to be a free kick to Chelsea with 37 minutes played. So an opportunity again from a set piece for Chelsea to get the goal, which will be so eagerly greeted by their fans. Cesc Fabregas takes the free kick.
Good header.
It's a good defensive header, I think, by Dan. Still not completely clear from a Palace point of view. It is now. They're up to halfway, and they might even have a break on here, but the referee has brought play back, and he should have played an advantage.
I think he's going to book John Terry, but it's terrible refereeing.
It's poor, yeah, I agree.
Terrible. Should have played the advantage.
Yeah, and then booked him. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Terry was guilty of the foul, we knew that, but then Palace had men coming forward. It was a little bustle forward by
punches
James
on the ball
McCarthy.
now, and they're off.
Yeah,
but this is of no advantage to them. That's what a free kick is. It's given to give an advantage to the opponents, but that's of no.
There were 3 against 3.
Exactly
Palace,
right.
And the referee has pulled them back. They'll be annoyed with that. As far as Alan Pardew, I'll be absolutely furious about it. Terry's been booked. He and Ivanovic both in the referee's notebook for Chelsea. Here's Balassi right on the byline, cuts infield, still it's Yannick Balassi. It's a teasing ball headed away by Azpilicueta and then met on the volley by Joe Ledley, who was off balance, hit it with his right foot, and it's gone a long way wide.
They're creating opportunities. Again, good flick on. Balassi does well, produces a cross, and I'm looking at Punchin, who should come and attack it. If he can't, it's there to be attacked, and Ledley's a very difficult volley, to be honest, but it's a real lively and competitive display from Crystal Palace, which is what their manager's about.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to take your hat off to them. I mean, there really is little for them to play for, but they really have. I mean, I think it's been an even game. Chelsea possibly have had more of the ball, but you wouldn't say that they're dominating things.
Well, you said it a little while ago, Speroni has not really had that much work to do, has he?
He's made one save from Ivanovic, that's pretty much it. We're 40 minutes into the game, still Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Ball is knocked across the Chelsea box, but headed away by Ivanovic and then hoofed away on the volley by Cesc Fabregas. It's come up to halfway. Forward by Chelsea. It looks like that's asking a little bit too much of Cuadrado to get to the ball there, but Delaney wasn't able, I think, aware of the fact that Cuadrado, a pacey individual, was behind him to run the ball out of play, so his safety first knocked it away for a Chelsea throw, which is about a couple of yards in from the corner flag on this near side. It's going to be taken by Branislav Ivanovic, who does have a long throw in his locker, although he doesn't get a great run up here at Stamford Bridge because they're very tight to the advertising hoardings. Ivanovic tries to get as much length as he can on the throw. It's headed away by Delaney, picked up by Zaha, who thrashes it up in the air. Fabregas with a cushion ball down towards Cuadrado, but it was well dealt with by Jordan Match. Then Terry with, again, it's an absolutely excellent header. The ball's come right out of the sky at him, and rather than just thumping it forward, he's deftly flicked it to his right so that Chelsea can keep possession. Here's Fabregas. He's given possession away for Chelsea, but that's another measure of how good John Terry is at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's a wonderful player, and he's making it difficult. But then, you see, they still have that threat, Palace. They realise if they can expose the two Chelsea centre-halves' lack of pace, Bolassi's got a huge part to play, and I'm sure Alan Pardew will be saying to them, we get one chance like that, I think we can exploit it.
Yeah, here's Willian. Another thing to say about John Terry, of course, he got a goal against Leicester City in midweek in that 3-1 win. He's the joint top Premier League scorer from defence of all time with 38 goals alongside David Unsworth. I mean, that's another thing that he brings to the table. Here's Fabregas anyway, coming forward for Chelsea, finds Drogba, holds it up nicely. Willian is on the far corner of the 18-yard box. Little step over by Willian. Azpilicueta into the box, but too close to Speroni. And the green-shirted Palace keeper just dived in front of Drogba to make a good claim.
Well, if you look at it, when he does get down there, Azpilicueta, the problem that Chelsea have is there are only two players in the box, and there are 3, 6, 8 Palace defenders, so Azpilicueta will have to have picked out something sensational for them to score.
Here's Balassi finding Zaha at the other end of the field as Palace look to get forward. Just flicked away for the moment by Ivanovic, but Palace have it back. Joel Ward back to Wilfried Zaha. Square ball by him to Joe Ledley. This is Jordan, much bit of space in front of him. Plays a good ball in. Here's Ward, tries to cut. Similar to the attack at the other end, he's put it way too close to the keeper, and Courtois clung on.
He didn't have a lot of space and time because I think the ball from Much, although decent, slightly overhit, is just, I think he might just be onside, and he needs to cut that back a little bit, but you know, it's a difficult cut back, but good attacking play from Crystal Palace.
So still goalless with 2.5 minutes to go to half-time. A point will not be enough, as you probably know, to confirm Chelsea as the Premier League champions. They need to win, although a point would mean that if Arsenal drop points against Hull on Monday, then they would be crowned in their absence. Here comes Eden Hazard into the box. Penalty kick.
Skill.
Kevin Friend points to the spot. Eden Hazard, so often the creator for Chelsea this season, has won them a penalty. A clumsy challenge by James MacArthur as the Belgian darted through. That is a stonewall penalty kick.
Not even a discussion.
No question at all. Paul Mortimer called it immediately. No, he's called it.
He has caught him knee to knee, isn't he? He hasn't caught him with his foot. Knee to knee, he's caught him.
But it's clear that Hazard, he's not trying to go over Hazard, he's bumped him.
Well, the problem you have is it's all at pace. He's committing defenders at pace, and he's a convincing faller. It looks like there was the slightest of contact. It's a penalty.
Eden Hazard, acclaimed as the best player in the Premier League this season, has the chance to get a goal which will put Chelsea so close to claiming the title. He's up against Julian Speroni from 12 yards. Kevin Friend just organising the players to make sure there's no encroachment. He's had a bit of a wait, Hazard.
Too long.
Needs to slot this one. And it's an awful kick, we just say, but Hazard has headed it into the net. Goodness me.
Incredible.
Relief all around the ground. It was one of the worst penalties you'll ever see. Speroni managed to block it, but Eden Hazard following up
nodded into the empty net, and in the final minute of the first half, Chelsea have the goal they desperately crave, and they have one hand on the Premier League trophy.
Wow, John, it was just an incredibly bad penalty. He just scuffed it, and then, you know, the luck of champions, it comes straight back to him. And he still did his best to put it past the post nearly, didn't he? He's trying his best to miss it. It was just an incredible, and you can see him wiping his forehead.
He does it.
Wow.
In celebration, he's wiping the sweat off his brow.
Got a little bit of luck there, but they've earned the luck.
Goodness me.
They've earned the luck.
I've taken better penalties myself. Well, it's just the worst you've ever seen.
John, what happens sometimes when the ref takes so long and there's such a long time? Everything goes through your mind.
Well, Chelsea have the goal they wanted. The crowd are beginning to celebrate. You can just feel the atmosphere lifting, and it's come at a fantastic time just before the interval. They haven't been particularly good today, Chelsea, but the man who's contributed so much to this campaign in a rather bizarre fashion has got the goal which could see them crowned champions in about an hour's time.
See, what they do is they get the job done. They've got the goal. Bit, fortunate.
Yeah.
Palace have defended really well up till then. There was one bit of quality, wasn't it?
Yep.
That one bit of genuine quality that changed things.
Little back heel by Willian, wasn't it, that set him on his way. He read it well.
Willian, for me, is underrated.
Yes.
He really is. He's a fantastic.
Splendid.
He makes them play. He improves them. Wonderful bit of skill as we look back at the penalty again and laugh. He's looking at he's not looking at the ball when he strikes it. Looked like he scuffed it a little bit too.
I tell you what, you're right as well, because when the ball popped up, it spun off his head, didn't it? And just for a moment, you thought, oh my God, he's going to miss that as well.
He's done his best.
But anyway, here he is in his more familiar role, and he's been brought down by Adrian Mariappa.
Should be a booking.
And
he's been booked
right
already,
on
hasn't
halfway. No, he hasn't.
Oh, I hope not.
No, Scott Dam was booked earlier for Palace. It is going to be a booking for the former Watford player. Also used to play for Reading. Back in the team today, and a yellow card to match his yellow shirt, and no complaints. He's deliberately clipped Hazard.
No
and
intention.
He's going to cause real problems if he gets beyond it. I still think it's a slightly strange choice of right back, to be honest, by Alan Pardew.
I think he's looking at pace and agility and mobility, and maybe that's all. Maybe that's all. But yes, it is a bit of a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, Ward, who is a right back of more traditional right back. Mariappa generally has played as a centre half. Half time at Stamford Bridge. They are 45 minutes away round as champions again. Chelsea, a scrappy goal scored in the final minute of the half after James MacArthur brought down Eden Hazard. Hazard made an absolute mess of the penalty, but was then able to head the ball back past Julian Speroni, and they are within touching distance of that glittering prize. At half-time, it is Chelsea 1, Crystal Palace 0. This is talkSPORT's coverage of the Barclays Premier League live.
Next weekend on Barclays Premier League Live, Everton versus Sunderland from Goodison Park.
I still come back from McCarthy here into the penalty area. McCarthy dances all the way through the Manchester United defence to finish low past David De Gea. It's spilled by the goalkeeper, and it's home already inside a minute. Connor Wickham, well, he saved Sunderland last season with goals to keep them up. Is he going to do it again this time round?
Stoke City versus Tottenham Hotspur from the Britannia Stadium.
Well, Adam shoot goal. Charlie Adam drives it into the ground, and Charlie Adam, as he scored the winner in the Britannia Stadium. From behind, Stoke City come to be in the lead in the Britannia Stadium.
Here comes Spurs looking to get back on terms, and they have. Nasser Chadli has run onto a through ball, taken one touch to control, and dispatched it beyond Kelvin Davis, and for the second time in the game, Spurs have got themselves level.
Crystal Palace versus Manchester United from Selhurst Park.
Harry had the strength to win the challenge. Pantilimon comes a long way, and it could be 4. It is 4, and Balassi has got his hat-trick.
Barclays Methodist stand over it for Ashley Young to take, right-footed, free header for 4-1. Manchester United are running away with it. Chris Smalling has got in on the act.
Manchester City versus Queen's Park Rangers from the Etihad Stadium.
City are on the counter-attack with Aguero. Aguero slips past one challenge, he's got Navas in acres of space. Navas back to Aguero, terrific goal. Brilliant goal by Manchester City on the break. Sergio Aguero celebrates.
But Phillips has retrieved possession and tries to turn away from Richardson, and does turn away from Richardson across the face of goal for Charlie Austin, and Charlie Austin has struck that ball right into the back of the net. Goal for Queen's Park Rangers.
Chelsea versus Liverpool from Stamford Bridge.
But Chelsea have played in Hazard. Hazard to put Chelsea in front. A delightful finish from Eden Hazard through the legs of David De Gea. And what a huge goal that is for Chelsea.
Deep crossing towards Sturridge. Liverpool double their money, and Daniel Sturridge finally does get on the score sheet from Jordan Henderson's cross.
Arsenal versus Swansea from the Emirates Stadium.
He's got two players with him, Giroud, but he goes for goal and scores himself. And Arsenal are going second in the Barclays Premier League. Olivier Giroud rounds it off. A wonderful day for Arsenal.
Oliveira goes one way, and the ball into the channel finds him. Back across the face of goal! And there it is, goal number 3 from the unlikeliest of sources for Swansea City. Jack Cork has got the goal.
That's all coming up next weekend on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT.
Chelsea so close now to adding another Premier League title to their illustrious history. They had to wait a while, and it wasn't a conventional goal, but what a goal it was for them.
Here comes Eden Hazard into the box. Penalty kick.
Skill.
Kevin Friend points to the spot. Eden Hazard, so often the creator for Chelsea this season, has won them a penalty, and it's an awful kick which is saved, but Hazard has headed it into the net. Goodness me!
Incredible.
Relief all around the ground. It was one of the worst penalties you'll ever see. Speroni managed to block it, but Eden Hazard following up, nodded into the empty net, and in the final minute of the first half, Chelsea have the goal they desperately crave, and they have one hand on the Premier League trophy.
Wow.
Well, they certainly do, and Eden Hazard giving them the goal that puts them in front. We've got a little bit of a debate going on Twitter for you. We're asking, is Eden Hazard the best player in the Barclays Premier League this season? If you think he is, retweet. If you disagree, then make it a favourite. Is Eden Hazard the best player in the Barclays Premier League this season? RT for yes, favourite for no. So Chelsea are very close now to being crowned as champions of England. Below them, the battle for European places gathers in 10 City. We have Phil Blacker commentating later on Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester City at White Hart Lane. Let's hear from the respective managers, Manuel Pellegrini and first Maurizio Pochettino.
I think that is important in the next 4 games to try to take the more point possible. I think that this is always is better if you finalize on the table 5th than 7th. I think this maybe is our real target now.
No, we are thinking just to win the next game against Tottenham. In this moment we are 2 points in front of United. We don't depend just on what we can do. If we can reach the second place, so we are just thinking try to win the next game.
Phil Blacker and Adrian Clark with full commentary on Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT. Manchester City currently in second place, would move 3 points above Arsenal were they to win at White Hart Lane. Were Tottenham to win, then they would stay 6th, but they'd be level on points with 5th place Liverpool and only 4 points behind Manchester United. So maybe that 4th spot in the Champions League is not beyond Liverpool, not beyond Tottenham Hotspur, not even beyond Southampton. Well, it's half-time at Stamford Bridge. We'll have the second half coming up for you. You're listening to Barclays Premier League Live with talkSPORT.
one planet, one game, one football. The all-new One Football app is available right now for iOS, Android and Windows phones. With all the latest football news, live scores, results, highlights and more from the Premier League, Champions League and hundreds of international competitions. Download the One Football app from your App Store today to follow all the Premier League matches with live text commentary and vote for your man of the match. One Football, the best app for football fans.
Well, Everton coming forward here. It's 3. Kevin Morales off the bench to finish Manchester United off.
This is Barclays Premier League Live. Exclusive global Premier League radio commentary and post-match analysis.
Found his way to Walters, back to Arnautovic. Tries a turn, it's going to come back for Adam! Oh, absolute rocket into the top corner. Stoke deservedly level.
Barclays Premier League Live. All the biggest games every Premier League weekend.
It's going to be surely. It's turned in. Leicester have the lead. Just a minute after Burnley miss a penalty. Leicester go off the other end and put the ball into the back of the net.
This is Barclays Premier League Live. Never miss a kick of the Barclays Premier League. All weekend, every weekend.
Here's Kolarov, who thought his goal had won the game. It's a good delivery, and it's turned in by Fernandinho. They were 2-0 up, they were pegged back to 2-2, and Fernandinho, with his third goal of the season, makes it Manchester City 3, Aston Villa 2.
Exclusively live Barclays Premier League action throughout the season. This is Barclays Premier League Live.
Oliveira goes one way, and the ball into the channel finds him. Back across the face of goal! And there it is! Goal number 3 from the unlikeliest of sources for Swansea City, Jack Cork.
This is Barclays Premier League Live. Exclusive global Premier League radio commentary and post-match analysis.
Ramirez plays it in Doy, and Doy to seal it, and he does, and it's Hull City who will take all 3 points in an afternoon where they needed to get the job done.
Barclays Premier League Live. Exclusive worldwide coverage and full match commentary of the Barclays Premier League.
Here comes Spurs looking to get back on terms, and they have for the second time in the game. Spurs have got themselves level.
Talk Sport, live on TuneIn. This is Real Radio.
Back in the net!
Hear every Barclays Premier League match live, including next weekend's match between Chelsea and Liverpool.
Hazard to put Chelsea in front. A delightful finish from Eden Hazard.
Every kick, every goal from the home of football on TuneIn in association with talkSPORT.com, official global audio partner of the English Premier League.
Welcome back to Stamford Bridge. I'm sure Jose Mourinho will be dispensing wise words to his men at the interval. They've got their noses in front. They need, as we all know, 3 points this afternoon, and nobody can stop them being crowned champions of England. They are 45 minutes away from achieving that ambition, Chelsea. Paul Mortimer's been watching it with me. What will Mourinho be saying to them? It hasn't been a sparkling performance, but I suppose in some ways it's been pretty typical Chelsea's performance, certainly in the last few months.
I think one thing you'll know is they've been here before. It's a well-worn road, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just go and get the job done. That's what we'll be saying. Boys, we've been here before. We know what needs to be done. Now it's just about us. Do we have the confidence? Do we have the bold, the desire? Do we have the composure and the grit and the determination to actually just go out and win this half or draw this half?
He's been there before. Quite a lot of the players haven't, though. I mean, you're looking at Terry and Drogba, probably the only 2 survivors from the last time they won it. But you look at the names: Cahill, Willian, Fabregas, Hazard. I mean, they're experienced players, aren't they?
Yeah.
Not the sort who are going to let the occasion get to them, surely.
And that's the thing. It's the big game. The big game players. This is a big game for them. Palace against Palace may not be seen as big, but the occasion is big. Yeah. And what he will have stressed is not to get carried away with the occasion. Play the game, not the occasion. Yeah. And if they play the game, they'll do what they normally do, which is just get the job done.
Exactly. And it might well depend on how Palace approach the second half. We'll wait and see, because that's coming right up. This is talkSPORT's coverage of the Barclays Premier League live.
To everyone ready to take a step, make a difference and prosper. To everyone who puts on their team jersey and cheers their team on from 1,000 miles away. To everyone ready to play the beautiful game in the right way. and played their part in making this the greatest season ever. We at Barclays, proud sponsors of the Barclays Premier League, say thank you. You are the true spirit of the game. If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. talkSPORT's international service covers every Barclays Premier League match live.
It's spilled by the goalkeeper, and it's home already! Inside a minute! Connor Wickham! Well, he saved Sunderland last season with goals to keep them up! Is he going to do it again this time round?
Full match commentary, pre- and post-match game analysis, goals as they go in from every single Barclays Premier League match.
Oh, that's a real blunder from Braguza, and he passed it straight to Aguero. It's a gift from Manchester City. Sergio Aguero opened the scoring inside 3 minutes.
Hear goals as they go in from around the grounds during our feature commentary match.
Shelby that comes away with it, finds the pass out wide, and there's a chance. Sigurdsson! Montero with the ball into the middle, and guilty Sigurdsson has given Swansea the lead at St James's Park.
Every game is covered.
Still come back from McCarthy here into the penalty area. McCarthy dances all the way through the Manchester United defence to finish low past David De Gea.
Get involved in debates, ask in-game questions to our commentary team, and get the world's fastest goal updates with @talkSPORT live on Twitter.
Shane Long, decent ball in Pala, that's a fabulous header, and Pala, who seems to have rediscovered his goal scoring form, has got his second of the game.
This is Barclays Premier League Live, exclusive global Premier League radio commentary and post-match analysis.
Here's the ball by Luka inside the penalty area from Brady, draws it back